This podcast is part of the Everyday Heroes Podcast Network, the network for first responders and those who support them.
Disclaimer. All views expressed on What Makes Us Fire are solely those of the person or persons giving them. What Makes Us Fire does not represent or claim to represent any particular city or fire department, and therefore make the claim that all views and standpoints are affiliated with What Makes Us Fire and with What Makes Us Fire only. Any mention of certain fire departments or cities within the interviews are solely for informational and opinion-based dialogue. In short, if you have a problem with what's published, just say something about it and don't be a Richard.
Hello, What Makes Us Fire family. This is Josh, your host of the What Makes Us Fire podcast, founder of the What Makes Us Fire nonprofit foundation. Thank you for joining us on the show today. Before we get everything started, I got a few things to say. This past October 15th through the 17th, we had a meetup in San Antonio, Texas, What Makes Us Fire TikTok Riverwalk Takeover, and it was phenomenal. I want to thank every one of you that came out, that supported the nonprofit, that had a good time, had some drinks, got to dress up at the costume party. I also want to do a huge shout out to all our vendors that helped us out. The Republic of Texas Restaurant and Bar were huge in helping us out. The Rockies Patio Bar. What else we had? We had Acapulco Sam's, Mercaba, and Howl at the Moon. All those venues were amazing in helping us raise money for our nonprofit and for just being there for us when we needed them to be there, and for facilitating a great environment for everyone to enjoy. I also want to put a big thank you out to Lone Star Insurance Group. They are one of our sponsors for the event. For anybody looking for insurance coverage, please check them out, LoneStarInsuranceGroup.com. They were huge in donating and sponsoring the event. Also, the Spagnoletti Law Firm here in Houston, Texas, they helped sponsor the event, and for representing What Makes Us Fire Foundation and helping us with all our legal needs. If you do need any type of litigation help, please reach out to the Spagnoletti Law Firm in Houston, Texas. Saying all that, anybody out there that would like to sponsor the What Makes Us Fire podcast and or make a donation to What Makes Us Fire nonprofit foundation, please visit whatmakesusfire.com. There you can make a donation, or you can reach out to me and potentially become the sponsor for the show and the nonprofit. All right. That's about it. That's all I got. Oh, that's right. What Makes Us Fire merch. I had a lot of questions about people asking, where can I get that hat? Where can I get that shirt? WhatMakesUsFire.com. Click on the merch link. There you can completely customize any and all What Makes Us Fire merchandise. It has the logo. You can move it around. You can add your own stuff to any piece of apparel that they have. You can put your own design, your own logo, design, whatever. Completely customizable. So go check it out if you'd like to get some What Makes Us Fire merch as well. Today on the show, I have Lou. Yep, that's his name, Lou. Very simple. Better known as JamminLu21 on his social media profiles. Mostly on TikTok. He does most of the stuff on TikTok. JamminLu21. He is a very, very outspoken person. He tells it how it is. He does not shy away from sharing with you his opinion on things. He's making a name for himself being a Latino veteran, speaking out against the current political issues that we have. You know, we don't get very political here on What Makes Us Fire. We're very mental health forward. And Lou and I actually get into that conversation very deep. But I give him a little bit of time to explain himself on what he's doing and why he's doing it with his platform now and with his apparel line that he has going on. Speaking of which, if you'd like to go check it out, it's JamminLu21.com. You can check out his merch there. I'm not going to say a whole lot on what we talk about. I'm going to let him do a lot of the talking. And like I said, he's not afraid to say it how he says it. He said what he said. jealous that you're able to have a little bit of JamminLu with me.
Well, you're not, or what?
Well, the thing is I drove in from the Austin area and my truck started going to shit, so I took it straight to the shop.
Oh,
and
damn.
so I wasn't able to pick up anything on the way in.
Oh, damn. Well, right on. Well, I don't know. I'm not drinking anything anyway. Like, you know.
Yeah, no, it's tea.
Yeah.
It's what I like. It's what I like to call is whisk tea.
Whisk tea. That's right, man. That's right.
Whisk tea. If you jump on one of my lives and you see me drinking one of those, you'll see some of my. I call them family. I don't call them followers. But you see some of the family that they'll be like, "Oh, you're having a whisk tea?" I'm like, hell yeah, I'm having a whisk tea. I'm having to talk to you guys right now.
That's what I'm talking about. No, man, my favorite drink is Woodford Reserve, bro.
Woodford Reserve. All right.
Woodford Reserve. Yeah.
Macallan's, bro. I'm a Scotch guy, so I like
Oh,
Macallan's and Lafroig. Those are really good. But when it comes to just sipping whiskey, man, Jameson. I'll sip on Jameson on the rocks all night when I'm out on the bars, hopping clubs, whatever.
Right.
But I don't do that very often anymore.
Yeah.
Getting a little bit too old for that shit.
Yeah, that shit's called growth, bro.
Yeah, and that's shit. It's called deterioration. That's what it's called. Fucking deteriorating.
Right? You ain't lying.
Lou, brother, thank you for coming on to What Makes Us Fire, Brand. I really do appreciate you jumping on the show and being open to having this discussion we're about to have. I know not a lot of people are comfortable with talking about tough issues, especially when it comes to mental health and life in general and shit like that. A lot of people are scared to have an opposing opinion from what people think you should have. And we're going to get into that. And we're going to get into what I mean by saying that in a little bit, especially with you being Latino heritage and everything. Your viewpoints tend to ruffle some feathers. And I want to get into that with you because I think that's definitely something that not a whole lot of us talk about very often and how it affects us within the job and everything else, right? So, but again, I want to say thank you for coming on the show, man.
Right on, man.
Usually what I like to do is I like telling people how I got you or how I found you, got you to come on the show and everything. And it's very simple. I saw a video you did on social media, found out you were a veteran. And then I asked you to be on the show, and you said yes. That's pretty much exactly how it went. I think
that's how it went.
Yeah.
Let me check my notes real quick. Is that how it went? Yeah. I concur.
It was not. It's not very difficult, man. Usually, sometimes you'll be surprised. Like I'll find somebody. I'm like, hey, they look like they'd be great to have on the show. I'll send them a message. Don't hear from them. I'll send them a message. They'll say, oh yeah, that sounds cool. Don't hear from them for a couple weeks. Another message, and it's just like it's a pain in the ass sometimes to get a few of these guests on the show. But you, man, you're just like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like,
let's do it. Hey, man, this is the way I see it, brother. At the end of the day, you know, when I grew up, you know, just real quick, when I grew up, my grandfather always had the saying, closed mouth can't be heard, closed eyes cannot see. And if you ain't willing to listen, you ain't going to learn, you know? So whenever somebody comes up to me with an opportunity to tell my story or just, you know, do a podcast, even if it's just to enlighten folks like on my background or what it is that I dealt with PTSD or even like politics now, you know, because politics is a new Super Bowl, bro. You know what I mean? And and the thing is that whenever I get into what I talk about, my personal life experiences, it may wake somebody else up. You know, even with my PTSD stuff and how I've lived that and been through it, gone through it, 4-time survivor. Yeah, I want to get that story out as many times as I can, as quick as I can, because if that can save somebody else's life, you know, if they hear it today, tomorrow, instead of 3 weeks from, you know, that's just me. You know what I'm saying?
I think what you're saying is exactly what I like to say is, you know, people keep asking me that, man, maybe you should take a break. Maybe you should, you know, go take care of your own shit. And I'm like, I can't, I won't. I got to keep talking. I got to keep telling my story. I got to keep working, because if I take a 1 week break, within that week, It's going to set me back a week. And that week I get set back could have been the week I helped somebody. It could have been the week that changed the mind of somebody wanting to kill themselves. You know, it could have been that week. Yeah. So I'll struggle through it. I'm not going to stop working on it though. And it sounds like you have the kind of same mindset that as soon as you have an opportunity, you're going to take it because you don't want to lose that opportunity of possibly helping somebody else, a fellow brother or sister. You're going to have to excuse me. I dip. I know it's a bad habit, so I might.
Oh, no, it's all good. This is your show, dog. This is your chicken. You screw it how you want.
You know? We're going to get into that. I might scare you off. Anyway.
I'm a grunt, bro. Ain't nothing you can say to me that'll scare me. I'm a grunt till I die, man.
Hell yeah. But other than that, man, yeah, that's how we got you on the show. You were very, 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 very willing. Like, there was no... I remember you called me. I sent you a message. Let me rephrase. You sent me a message because I sent you a message on TikTok. That's how we met, everybody. We met on social media, TikTok. If you're not aware that that's how I meet and have most of my guests come onto the show via TikTok or some other sort of form of social media, that's how I get most of my guests on the show. But I sent him a message. You texted me or you gave me a call and I was like, I can't talk right now, but if I talk to you later, and you're like, it's Sunday, man, I'm going to get back to the family, maybe tomorrow. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, shit, I lost the chance, right? Because I've heard that before.
Oh, man, no way.
Mm-hmm. But you were there, man. You showed up. You thought I was somebody looking for some merch that I bought, but I didn't. You thought I was somebody. You're like,
yeah.
Hey,
bro.
So hey, man, who are you again? I can't find your order anywhere. I'm like,
yeah, because all right. So I had the FJB shirts just take off. I've also had these Brandon shirts just take off, and I'm all about customer service. You know, like I take pride in my work, man. I got a lot of self-respect, a lot of honor. You know what I mean? A lot of pride. But this is my thing. Whenever I'm not sure who is who, man, I feel bad because, man, I got a TBI. You know what I'm saying? So my memory ain't all what it used to be prior to military. And I just want to make sure that I'm not missing out or someone's missing out on their services that they paid for. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I was like, oh, man, what did I do wrong? What did I miss? Because sometimes we do forget, you know?
Right. No, and I think you putting that out there is going to allow people to understand, right? You have a TBI. And for everybody who doesn't know what TBI stands for, it's traumatic brain injury. It can come from a lot of different things. I'm assuming yours came from combat. But it's just traumatic brain injury, which can cause short-term memory loss, can cause long-term memory loss. It can cause dysfunction with seeing, hearing, talking, tasting. I mean, like, traumatic brain injuries can affect a lot of different things. Majority of the time, you will have memory loss be a very, very, very common association with the TBI. And it's unfortunate because people who have TBIs, and you can hear as Lou just said, he feels like he has to work at remembering. And a lot of us don't even think about having to work at remembering for anything, right? Somebody tells us something, we don't think, all right, I got to remember that. 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 Okay. You're constantly having to work hard to remember. We don't realize how lucky we are that we don't have to work that hard because we don't have a TBI. So
it's difficult, man. Not to cut you off, but my ex-wife, she was like, how is it that you can help me understand what it is? Because she's an educated woman, she's a teacher and what have you. But she was like, how is it that I can understand what you're dealing with? And I basically told her, I said, imagine your mind. You're trying to convince your mind of two ADD personalities to stop fighting with each other. That's it. I mean, if you can imagine having two minds, because that's what we got. As veterans, as military personnel, you literally do have two minds. You have a mindset of prior military and a mindset of post-military, and what you dealt with prior military, and you never knew that you could push yourself or the limits you could push yourself until you joined the military. Once you joined the military, your limits exceeded what you thought you could originally do, right? So that's that double mindset that I'm talking about. You know, even though they overlap with one another, you know what you're capable of. So with that being said, it's like the old me battles the new me, and they just continue fighting. And I'm like, no, you got to remember this. And the other me is like, but dummy, I can't, you know? And that's just, we're the same piece. We're the same person. It's a trip, man.
It is. Fuck the human brain. That's all I got to say. Fuck the human brain. Trying to understand what's happening, what's going on. I mean, it's insane. But I'm going to push this forward, man. Like, so what I like to do is I like to have my guests kind of give us a little bit of a background of who they are, where they came from. And the reason why I like doing that is it allows everybody to know that you're not just not JamminLu. You're not just JamminLu. You're Lou. You were a kid. Right. You grew up. You had life experiences. You're not just what you see on social media. You're not just a military veteran. You're a human being, right? There's so much more to you than just those things. And that's why I like getting backgrounds, because sometimes we can see a story develop in somebody's history, in somebody's past, that led them to where they were. So with saying that, where are you from, brother? Like, where'd you grow up? Where were you born? Brothers, sisters, family life? How was all that?
Yeah. Well, I'm from Odessa, Texas, man. We're around here, man. We take you know how Texas is. When we already take our high school football Friday night super serious. But being from West Texas, we take our oil, our guns, and our women serious, man. And of course, we're very, very godly in our ways out here. You know what I mean? Because that's what it is. God, family, country out here. And then oil, you know? Yeah. But I've lived out here most of my entire life. The only time I ever left the Permian Basin area was whenever I joined the military. You know, I've dabbled in, you know, a couple of months stays in El Paso, off of West Mesa and stuff like that when I was a teenager getting in trouble here. But, you know, there's just nothing like home. And Odessa, Midland area, man, it's not the best place to be and grow up at, you know. And where I grew up as a kid, you know, we grew up in the projects, man. And once I left the hood, and by the hood, I mean the projects. Once I left the projects, I thought we was moving up, you know, but all we did was move into a trailer that was right across the street from the projects in a trailer park, you know, and everybody, it was kind of crazy, man, because when I was a kid, all my friends, man, used to tell me, Lou, now you think you all better than us over here, man, because you left the projects, you living in a trailer now. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm ducking from the same bullets y'all are ducking from. I can smell the same weed y'all can smell. Like, what? How am I any better? You know what I mean? Like, we still live on the south side of town. Like, that ain't any, you know? So once I got out of that, I ended up moving closer to town in like central part of Odessa, right by a boys club. And I shit you not, there was another set of buildings that were project-like. And I had to pass those projects in order to get to the boys club. And it just seemed like I always like side-skirted trouble. You know what I'm saying? I never ran from it. You know, I've always dealt with it. I did a lot of things that, you know, I didn't get caught for and what have you. But man, it's just the way we were brought up. You know, that was way of life. And you ran, you walked everywhere you went. It was, you know, when we was a kid and we had a stolen bike because we bought a bike at a garage sale, right? That was probably stolen. You know how it is on the south side, right? They always sell everything that ain't theirs and shit. Yep. But we would roll through our hood on our bikes as kids, man. And if we knew somebody's bike wasn't outside their house, then they were out looking for us. And that's how it was. You know, we didn't roll in gangs or anything like that. Because most of the time, family hung out with family. And being from where we're from, you know, we would have aunts and uncles just live like 1 or 2 blocks over. And that's just the way the Latino culture is out here. Right. You know, it's whenever you start moving across town and stuff like that, that's when we knew you made it. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
And not only that, and it sucked, man, because in what it is that I've learned through my life experiences, man, Latinos are the biggest problem in Latino community in regards to holding each other down. And I will say that till the day I die, because there's people that I know that left the Latino community when I was a kid. And you had people in that same community say, mira, so-and-so done left. He moved to the east side. Ya se cree mucho. He thinks he's too big. He's tough shit now. You know, and it's like, bro, he's doing good for himself. Like, why do you gotta crap on him, man? Like, he's doing good. Like, let him do his thing.
I have a theory about that because, I'm from a Latino family as well. Like my dad's side's all Latino. I grew up in El Paso. So there was a little bit of that as well, especially amongst my primos, my cousins. And there was some of that as well where, oh, Josh, you live over here, or like my mom was white, right? So when that already made
you already had two X's on your
dude, I was the güerito, I was güero, I was, I was that to all my cousins, my uncles, my aunts, everything, right? So, but when when you moved around, I remember hearing sometimes it's like, oh, you're too good for your family now. It's like I had a fucking choice. Like,
right.
I go where my parents tell me to go. Like, and I think what it is really is because of Latino culture is very, very family oriented. If it doesn't involve the family in whole, they almost feel like they were left out or you left them behind because you didn't bring the family with you, right? And, well, how the hell am I going to support my 150 cousins and my 200 aunts and uncles and like how am I going to support all of you? I can't do that, and it's just we got to help each other. Like, well, help, but I can't bring you with me. You got to take those steps for yourself.
Yeah, and that's another thing about our community, right? And it's not nothing bad. Like, this ain't no shit shame. This ain't ragging.
No. This isn't ragging at all.
You know what I mean? No. This is just like true. This is like real talk. Like, this is one thing that I've learned. All right, whenever somebody has a come up, we all have a come up. This is the mindset that I've learned. When somebody has a come up, we all have a come up. But whenever that one person that says that mentality or has that mindset, when they have a come up, they quiet and then they slowly drift away. So the whole, practice what you preach doesn't apply anymore. You know what I mean? Because I know some people, man, and not in my family, but I know some people in other families, bro, that have that mindset. And the minute they come into a settlement check that's like hundreds of thousands of dollars, all of a sudden they're quiet. And everything they used to say before, they're no longer saying. They're like, no. This is something that I went through. If you want something like this to happen to you, then you go through it. You go put in the work. But he didn't have that mindset prior to getting that loot, Right. And it's a trip, man. It really is. But I don't knock nobody. It's not nothing bad or look like negative and a limelight toward Latinos because, in all honesty, it happens in every culture.
It does. It just happens. I think what happens is it's just very much more outspoken in Latino culture because, look, you guys want to talk about high school drama? Think about a Latino family. Like we talk so
sometimes
much.
It's like elementary and junior high.
Oh my God, we talk so much shit about each other, but yet as soon as somebody needs help, we're there, right? It's funny how and then you want to talk about having drama in a family and just meet a Latino, ask them about their cousins, aunt, uncle, what they're doing and why they're doing it. You're gonna hear a story. You'll hear, oh, did you hear this? Oh, did you hear that? I can't believe she did this. Did you hear who she's talking to? Did you hear who he's marrying? Like,
bro, I got this one thing, man, and it's the term viejas.
Yeah.
When old ladies at the salon parlor or just in general at the tea club or whatever they be talking. They be talking, and man, there's one thing that really kind of like touches home with me with all the negative comments and the hate, bro, that I get on my posts. I always think of the viejas that I used to hear as a kid. I always think of the viejas, the chismosas, the ones that just start drama all the time.
Right.
And there's it's all it's all in every culture. But man, the one thing that I couldn't stand, bro, was when somebody would say, "Mira, look at Rosalinda or look at Rebecca over there and this and that. Mira, she's over there with the white guy. She's trying to get her credit score better or whatever." You know what I mean? And I'm over here like, man, I'm like, wait a minute. The same people that are pushing the don't judge me by my appearance, the don't racial profile me, you're doing the same shit. And that's to your own family. Right. I've seen that firsthand, and it's just downright sad, man. It is.
Well, so when you moved up, right? Did you have any brothers or sisters growing up, man?
Yeah, actually, as a matter of fact,
okay.
Man, I just lost my little sister. We lost her to COVID. She was vaccinated. She had some underlying health conditions and what have you. But she was 37, man. She's got some little ones we're gonna be looking out for and whatnot. And then that's my little sister. I have a little brother who he also joined the military around the same time. We went in when we were 30, bro. We didn't go in as little kids. We were established already. You know, like I worked for UPS for 10 years before I went in the military. Same for him. He left UPS, went in the military, got out. He's still at UPS. He's great father, man, just good family man. But after him, I have an older sister. So my sisters are my half sisters, but there's no such thing as half, right?
No.
My older sister, you know, like everybody's dealing with my little sister stuff and what have you. But I also have an older brother, and my older brother, man, he's the number one of the family. That's what we call him. We call him the number one. Everybody in the family loves him, bro. Mariachi. He looks handsome. You know what I mean? Like he moved to the east side and all that and everything. He's just, you know, he's been so disciplined, and I'm very proud of him. I love him. You know what I mean? Because, man, he and I are day and night. Like he doesn't say like cuss words or nothing like that. Yo, I'm over here like, you know, like
right.
We're very proud of him. He's very successful in what he does. But yeah, those are my brothers and sisters. He's an educator. And it's been super dope, man. It really has been. And when I was born, actually, I was supposed to go live with my grandma, man. Like, you know, because I was kind of like a little premature and this and that. Well, my older brother ended up going to stay with my grandma, and I stayed with my mom. So I had to grow up kind of quick. Because me and my little brother were at home while my mom worked 2 jobs, and my dad was a truck driver. He was hardly ever home. And they were great parents, man. They did everything they possibly could to keep us out of trouble. Pero traviesos are going to be traviesos, you know?
Yep.
And the opportunity of doing something wrong in the hood is always like the second you step out the door. But we grew up fast, man, and that's just what we had to do. And I'm very grateful for them.
What was the family life like? What was the dynamic like when you were growing up? You had 2 older siblings. Did they kind of keep watch out for you?
Well, see, that's the thing with my sisters. They lived with their mom, and we really didn't see a lot, you know, because back then, like brothers and sisters, co-parenting wasn't a thing back then. You know what I mean? You paid child support, and that was it. You never really saw your kid. But my older brother. Once I started realizing that I could be at home by myself when I was like 8, 10 years old, my older brother was already living with my grandma at that time, you know? So my older siblings, it's not like they didn't have a choice. They didn't have a choice. They just weren't there, you know? And I had to be a older sibling to my younger brother. Man, I learned how to cook, bro, at such a young age. We were like 8, 9 years old by the time we learned how to cook chicken and pork chops, and I'm surprised we didn't die from like salmonella or something, you know? Just, I'm not even joking, man. Because as a kid, how do you know how to cook a chicken? You know what I'm saying?
You watch your grandma and your mother cook.
Yeah. But we learned, man. You know what
I did. It's funny. I kind of did the same thing. You know, my parents divorced when I was fairly young, and you know, my mom, she was working her ass off trying to go home by ourselves at like 8, 9, 10 years old, walking home to school. And I actually ended up, you know how they had those after school programs in elementary, like you know, play football, chess club, all that stuff. I ended up taking home ec so I can learn how to cook for my brothers and my sister while my mom was out at work. So like I remember the first thing I learned how to cook was French toast, and I fucking hate French toast to this day now. I fucking hate it. But I learned how to make it, and that was something that I could do for my family when my mom was working. So yeah, I mean, I totally fucking get it. And, you know, growing up fast happens when you have parents that are working their ass off, and you kind of got to fend. You don't necessarily have to fend for yourself, but you're kind of fending for yourself in that, you know, mom and dad aren't home right now. You're hungry. Let's take care of it. Let's get you something to cook. Let's eat something.
Yeah, you know, and I used to think it was spending for myself until all I was realizing that I was surviving, you know. And don't get me wrong, like it wasn't like that every day, you know. It wasn't like that every day where we had to do stuff like that, because man, I was very fortunate to have both my grandmas in my life, and you know, like there was days where my mom she knew she was going to be gone longer than 5 or 6 hours. she would go take us to one of my grandparents. You know, and my grandma Nana, man, I've lost both of my grandparents. I only have one grandfather left, but my grandma Nana, man, she was like the neighborhood sweetheart, bro. Everybody knew her. Everybody loved her. You could smell my grandma cooking, like making tortillas. And not that the whole community would come together, but you would see more people play outside and adults sit on the porches of their house every time my grandma was making tortillas, bro. Because it would like the aroma would just come around the neighborhood, you know, and it'd just be like hovering over the barrio, and there was no fighting. You wouldn't hear nobody fighting. And it was pretty peaceful, man. But yeah, and it was just one of those things that you know, as kids, man, me and my little brother, we talk about it, and we hear kids complain about oppression now, and I'm just like, man, little do you know, you know what I'm saying?
And I got no
idea. Have no idea.
Yeah,
exactly.
No idea. What was the relationship like with your parents? Obviously, you know, your parents split when you were with your moms for most of the time. What was the relationship with your father and stuff like that?
Well, my dad, you know, because this is no shade, right? This is just looking at things in retrospect. Now that I'm an adult and I'm a father and what have you, you know, like this is the way I see things. Like my dad was a good dad, but he wasn't a dad. He was like my best friend, you know, like he would be okay with me messing up. You know, he would be okay with me being out in the streets, chasing tail. He would be okay with me doing that. But with my kids, you know, like, unfortunately, I have 4 kids, right? I don't have a relationship with my 2 oldest kids from my previous marriage or my previous, I guess, baby mama. I don't have and it's not nothing bad, you know, like I love her. She's good. She's a great mom. She did everything she needed to do, and she adjusted with life, right? But I don't have a relationship with my 2 oldest kids, and it bugs me because it reminds me of how my dad was with me, you know? And I can reach out, but man, you know, the saying is you can lead a camel to water, but you can't make it drink,
right?
You know? So at some point you have to step back and you have to look at, okay, how am I making the situation better by chasing somebody that doesn't want to be chased? If somebody doesn't want to have a relationship with you, do you keep forcing your hand? No, you step back and you say, all right, well, come to me whenever you're ready, because I ain't never pushed you away and I've always been. And that's all I can do in this moment. But it reminds me of what my dad was like, you know, and my dad was a great dad. It's just he didn't know how to be a dad. You know what I'm saying? Because his priorities, even now to this day, his priorities are in a different place. And there's nothing bad. It's just what he's accustomed to. It's just what he knows it needs to be at. You know what I mean? And I don't feel no type of way. I don't feel bad. I don't feel, you know, you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel no way. I just know that if I would have sat down and talked with him and been like, look, Pop, this is where I'm coming from, he would have made that adjustment. But as a kid, I didn't know what that adjustment was he needed to make. But now that I'm an adult, I know what that adjustment is. And I make that with my own kids. You know, like my 2 oldest kids are adults. They're already 23 and one's going to turn 20. And I'm like, you know, you're an adult here. You know, if you don't want to do certain things, I can't force you. But my 2 youngest ones, you know, I chat with them all the time. My 2 youngest ones, one is 18 and the other one's 13. My 13-year-old, he was just here last night. Like we have comms that, you know, always good. But it just reminds me of my dad, and I wish that I could fix that. But whenever you want to fix something, both parties gotta be able to want that. You know,
you can only do your side of what needs to be fixed. If it's a if it's a 2-person process, you know, you can put it out there. You can be, hey, I'm ready when you are, but you have to allow, for lack of a better term, nature to take its course, right? Like, it has to happen naturally. You can't force it, because if you force it, it might end up being a lot worse than had it just happened naturally. I'm learning that now. I'm going through a separation and a divorce right now, and my kids are. I talk to them, I send text messages and everything, but I can't force them. Yeah, I can't force it. It has to be both ways. So I get
and it's not like nothing. It's not like nothing bad. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, that's your blood. You know, like that's my blood. I want my blood to know that no matter what it is, they call me. I will be right there. Like, obviously, you know, they're my kids. But there's also a lesson in that as well. Because sometimes I feel bad whenever I'm talking about what it is that I say in some of my videos, you know, about getting your crap together or whatnot, you know, just in regards to life. But yet I don't have a relationship with my two oldest kids. Like, I feel bad because I don't have a relationship with my two oldest kids and I'm out here, you know, doing something else. But that relationship doesn't, it's not on me. You know what I'm saying? And the only reason I feel bad because some people can feel like that's misleading, and it's not what I'm about, you know? Like, I have too much integrity for all that. But the people that know me and have gotten to know me personally, they're like, hey man, I completely understand where you're coming from, because either one, they're young enough to where they were doing what my kids are doing, or two, they're old enough to know that they're going through what it is that I'm going through. So you know what I'm saying? So with this app, you can connect with friends half your age, which are your kids' age, and there's an overlap there. And then, you know, I get messages, man, frequently. Hey, just hearing you out, man, kind of opened my eyes, and I have a relationship with my dad now. You know, but I also get the other messages too. It's like, hey, you opened my eyes, and guess what? I don't have a relationship with my dad now, because you know, they don't want to talk to me about the vaccine, but you told me I need to stand up for myself. I'm like, you only got one life, man. You got to make yourself happy before you make anybody else happy, you know? But yeah, it's just weird the way it works out, man. But, you know, as far as my mom, that relationship, we're good. You know, my mom's always been a fighter. She's always been there to protect us and help us in every which way. And it's just a trip, man. It's a trip the way life works.
What was school life like for you?
Bro, I already had ADD. I had ADD when ADD wasn't like technical, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, so it was difficult for teachers or educators, even principals, to try to get me to like calm down or to even learn anything. And I'm just grateful, man. I'm grateful for the journey, because I've had some great teachers, man, that they used to call my mom. They used to invite me over to their house. They used to be like, you know, like we know you're struggling. We know that it's so hard for you to understand what it is that we're saying. We know that, but let us help you in another way that we can help you break it down. Because in the classroom, they can only teach you through the curriculum, right? But at their house or at a park or whatever, man, it's a completely different environment, and you can absorb information completely different. And it sucked, man. But you know, I'm just grateful for the educators that I had. College was completely different, but that's because I knew what my accommodations needed to be, if you will, with my TBI and stuff like that, you know?
Right. When you were going through school, what was your, you know, everybody has their little clique, their group, right? Like, were you a jock? Were you theater junkie? Were you stoner?
You know, honestly, I was a little bit of everything. Like minus the stoner. I really wasn't into like smoking. You know, that really wasn't my thing. There's not nothing against it. It just wasn't my thing. Experimented with it, and I don't really dabble with drugs. I used to sell the crap out of them, but I just never did anything like that. I just had too many family members, bro, that did some time, and I always was afraid of doing that kind of time. You know what I'm saying? But I was always involved with sports, man. The cool crowd I was involved with. I was also involved with the nerdy crowd, like straight up. Theater, to be honest with you, man, one of my real good friends was in theater. So it's literally like one of my best friends, man, when I was a kid, called me a chameleon. It's like, man, you remind me of a chameleon, bro. And I didn't understand what he meant, but it was so that I could blend in pretty much everywhere. And I got in where I fit in. You know what I mean? And that was pretty much just everywhere.
Why do you think you were like that, man? Do you think that it was something that like you just wanted to be accepted, or was it just kind of natural?
I think it's a natural thing, man. Cause you can put me in a room full of like shit, and I'll make like the prettiest like shit cupcakes, the prettiest shit pies. I will make the most wonderful fucking shit spaghettis, or whatever the case may be, because I think it's just my outlook on life or my positiveness or something. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't always like that. I just wanted to always like make people like cheery, you know, like be happy, man, like laugh.
But you said it
And
wasn't always like that. What was the time when it wasn't?
when I got out of the military, man, when I got out of the military, like, okay, so whenever I had turned 21, man, um, I was with my ex baby mama and stuff like that. Like, it was getting to the point to where I was literally like drowning in a sense. You know, I was like gambling. Like I said, I didn't do drugs, man, but I would drink a lot. I would go play pool all the time, and it was just like an unhappy ending, you know. And one day she was like, "That's it. I'm done. Like, you can't keep doing this." And then I almost committed suicide. You know, like I literally got 2 scars on my wrist that are a reminder, you know, because I slashed my wrist right then.
Mm-hmm.
And everything came out good on that. You know, we still don't talk after that. She does her thing, I do my thing, and that's another reason why I probably don't have a relationship with my 2 oldest. Well, one of the reasons, but that was one of the saddest times. And then I started getting better, and in doing so, I ended up meeting my ex-wife, and you know, with time, I healed and what have you. Met my ex-wife, and that was great. You know, we were together for like 12 years. We were together before I even joined the military. And then when I joined the military and I got back, I just wasn't the same guy. And that was the second period in my life. It was like a 5-year stretch, bro. It was a 5-year stretch of just not wanting to be here. 3 more attempts went down. And God just had different plans for me, you know? He just had different plans for me, and that was difficult, man. There was some nights I knew I wasn't going to see the sun come up, and how I did, I have no idea. But that was just God's will, bro. You know.
So you had an attempt, and we'll get into the mental health aspect of it now, because it sounds like there's going to this conversation, this part of the conversation is going to be pretty in depth. You know, you said you had an attempt prior to your military experience, right? And
yeah.
Usually when you have something like that happen prior to going into the military, that means you're already dealing with some type of mental health issue, in that, whether it be depression, anxiety, you know, whatever the case may be, you're dealing with something. You might not understand what's going on. You just know you had this feeling, you know, you had this attempt. And now all of a sudden, you know, I'm assuming you never went to get help for it after that attempt.
No.
Right. So now you're not understanding exactly how and or why it all went down the way it did. You just know it went down the way it did, and you're convinced it's because that's what you wanted to do. But then you get into the military, and then now you're exposing yourself to a shit ton more different traumas, and you never molded your mind to be able to deal with it, right? Prior to going, because you had this issue, you never. When I say dealt with it, I mean like dealt with it professionally, i.e. went and got the help you needed, right? So
no, I know what you mean.
So you never really dealt with it, but now you're going into the military, and I know the military doesn't teach you or anything about how to deal with all that stuff. They're like, hey, if you need to talk to somebody, talk to somebody. Okay, ready, aim down range, take a shot. So you know what I mean? It's very, very, very minimal when it comes to the mental health aspect of everything within the military. But I want to take it back to the first time. Like, you were like, what was it? You were a kid, right? You were 20, early 20s?
Yeah, I was like 20, 21, 22. Yeah, right. And this is I think this is kind of like a culture thing, you know, because I remember hearing some of my uncles, you know, when I first started like dating back when I was 13, you know, like 8 years prior to my attempt, when I first started dating. And one of my uncles had told me, you know, mijo, don't fall in love at such a young age, because whenever you're 13, 14 years old, you fall in love, you have a 2-year relationship, and then that girl leaves you, you're going to want to kill yourself. And I don't know if that's what planted a seed when I was 13, 14 years old. You know what I mean? But I started looking at it now in retrospect, it was a life of depression that, you know, that we had. When I say that it was a life of oppression, I don't mean like oppression from everyone else. I mean oppression from ourselves, because us in the Latino community, man, we know how to we know how to hang on to shit that bothers us. We know literally how to ¿sabes qué? We want to be sad. We're going to be fucking sad. We're going to be sad for a long time. And what? Or what are you going to do about it? You know what I mean? Like, we have that problem in our community, but we also have the capability of stopping that chain reaction or that mindset that goes through every chain link in the family. We have that opportunity to stop it. It's just we don't talk about it because in our community, you know how it is. Like, nut up, like be a man. Los hombres no lloran. Like, men don't cry. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what the machismo side of the Latino community comes out. And, you're a little bitch if you want to talk about shit like this, know? But whenever I was a kid, it was a life of depression. My mom always working. I had to cook and clean. I didn't have like a normal life of a kid. Well, all those were literally steps to a ladder that developed me as a human being, but also left me in a mindset to where I was like, I was oppressing myself because I didn't let that shit go, And then whenever I felt like the backbone and the foundation of my life was about to leave me because I was a drunk and an alcoholic, I felt like that was my out. That was the only out I had. Like, I had no other reason of living. And that overrode my reason for living for my kids. My depression and my oppression and my own mindset of holding myself down was more important than being there for my kids and my family loving me and God doing his thing, like that overdid that. And that's why a lot of our brothers and sisters out here that commit suicide, and that are part of 22 feel like that's their only out when in reality it's not.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know exactly what you're saying, man. And it's weird that you mentioned that like your kids didn't even stop this action that you were feeling, right? Because a lot of people who have depressive thoughts or have suicidal ideations, they use their kids as their reason, right? Their why. Why are you not going to do this? Well, because of my kids. Mm-hmm. And I don't think, you can't put depression in a general term because depression works differently in everybody. It's not, hey, you have depression. Awesome. That means everybody who has depression is going to be acting and doing the same thing. It's different for everybody. And when depression gets really bad, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have kids. It doesn't matter if the whole world loves you. It doesn't matter if you're making $1 million a year. It doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters because when you have depression, your reason for having depression is not tied to the good things in your life. It doesn't work that way. And that's why whenever I hear people say, oh, well, just think about this. At least you have that. And it's like, well, I'm not stupid. I know I have these good things in my life. Yeah. I know that. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not dumb. I understand that. But that's not what's causing me to feel the way I'm feeling with the depression right now. Yeah. So, yes, I have kids. Yes, I make good money. Yes, I have a family that loves me. All that stuff. That's great. But those aren't the things that are making me depressed. Those aren't the things that are putting me in the mind state right now. So even if I do think about those things, okay, great. It doesn't fix the thing that is making me feel like the suicidal ideations that I'm having. It's not the thing that's making me have those things. So just because we have good things in our lives, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to overcome the depressive thoughts, the suicidal ideations, because those things aren't the things that are actually causing it. Right. They're not the cure. They're not the cure-all. Thinking about the good things in your life is not the cure-all. There's there's a theory called toxic positivity, right? And we want to be positive. Oh, yeah. We want to be positive people. We want to put positivity out in the world. We want to let people know, hey, life is worth living. You want to be positive even when the bad shit's hitting. But it can get to a point where it's toxic in that you're not allowing yourself to process the bad shit, right? You're not allowing yourself to deal with the shit that is making you feel bad. And if you're constantly pushing that stuff down and rising up just the good stuff, but you're never dealing with the stuff that's bothering you, sooner or later, all those positive things aren't going to matter anymore because you stacked all the bad shit that's making you feel bad. You stacked it so much and packed it down so much, there ain't nowhere else for it to go. It's going to overtake all those things. It's take over all that the positivity in your life. And so, yes, it's good to be positive. Yes, it's good to think about the good things in your life, but it's also not good to ignore the bad things. It's not good to pretend that the positive things in your life are going to be able to overcome the bad things, because that's not the case. It's not true.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, just the mere fact that you're in a depressive state, you don't want to think about anything positive. You want to keep piling on, what state you're in, what mindset you're in, and it's like some people, whenever I help some veterans out here and stuff like that, I always say, man, if you feel like you're in a depressed state, change your mindset. Do whatever you can to change your mindset. It doesn't, I'm not, you don't have to think about like positive things. You can go for a walk. Just go look at nature, because nature is just a natural barrier, period. Mental barrier, it's a breaking point. And I like to use this example for almost everything in regards to the way mindsets are. So whenever we're in a depressive state, if you've ever walked in the mall and you look down at the ground, it'll have like tile, right? The flooring is what it is. It'll have tile. It'll have like 20 feet of certain tile. And then there's like an opposite, like a line that is a darker color. So if you have like white tile, there's like a strip of black. And then there's like white tile some more. And then there's like another strip of black and then a white tile. That black strip is meant to be there for a reason. Because some people, the way we are, like in depression, will be walking, looking down. But the minute we come across that black strip, it breaks our mental thought process that we have when we're walking. And we look up. And when we look up, when you're in the mall, the one thing you can't have in the mall is people looking down instead of looking up at store signs and at store sales. And you know what I'm saying? So,
right.
So whenever I say, if you're in a depressive state, think of the flooring in a mall. Go, you know what? You're depressed. I got it. I know what that's like. Get your ass in the car and go for a cruise. Just go around, walk around the block. And that's going to be your black line in the white tile, because you need a mental barrier break. Because if not, it's okay to be depressed. But if you don't, you're going to be stretched so tight, like a rubber band, you're going to snap. Right. So if you at least and it's okay to be depressed. It's okay to think about what's ailing you. It's okay to think about what these problems are that you're having, because at the end of the day, you need to find a solution to them. Exactly. But don't let it overrun you so much that you pull your rubber band so tight that you snap. So give yourself mental breaks on them. Go do something different. Step out of your norm. You know what I mean? Because you never know. That might just turn around and be something so exciting for you that, you know what? It can deflect in a good way from you being depressed. And even though that you don't want to have that mindset, there's just certain things that are out in this world that are an automatic natural barrier. You know what I mean? And shit, man, those people that were depressed, that are no longer depressed, don't even know what it was that got them from being depressed.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I think what it is sometimes too, like that barrier, I think sometimes it's not necessarily that it'll deflect. I think sometimes when you hit that natural barrier, you look up and the answers that you're actually seeking are there. Like that barrier, like you're in the mall, you're looking for a sale for shoes, right? You're looking down, you're upset, you can't find them. You get to that break, you look up, oh shit, there's a sale right there. Had I just been looking up, I would have saw that fucking 100 feet ago. It's a good analogy, because sometimes having that break, sometimes just looking up, getting a different perspective, instead of just looking down, look up every once in a while. You might actually find the answer to the things that are bothering you. So it could deflect it as well. It could put your mind onto something else for the time being. Not saying just forget about it, because it does need to be dealt with. You need to be able to deal with those things so they don't get you to that point again. But sometimes the answer's within that break. So when you take that drive, when you go out into the woods, when you go for a walk or a hike, sometimes you'll find the answer that you didn't even realize was there, because you were just looking down at the white tile the whole time.
Bro, there's this couple I know. I'm just gonna say their initials as JD. All right. That's the husband's name. The guy was like depressed, so bad. You know, he was just lost his wife, like 3 years before trying to seek help. Well, the only reason I know about this guy is because he lives kind of like where, not too far from where I live. This guy actually, while going through his depression, started going on walks. 2 weeks after he started going, like walking through his neighborhood, guess what he ends up doing? He met somebody that was on a walk. When you get two people that are just strolling, you don't know why they're strolling. They're just, it could be health reasons. It could be the mental barrier. It could be whatever, right? But him not even knowing, like having a mental barrier going for a walk, he could end up meeting somebody. They've been married now for like 6 years.
That's crazy.
Like,
man,
like, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you need to go through the mud in order to enjoy the grass. Like, we all know that. We all know that. You need to roll in shit in order to, you know, live a wonderful life. It gets worse before it gets better. And little did he know, he was in a depressive state for all those 3 years, mourning and whatnot, and rightfully so. You know, you want to mourn for your family, but you don't want to live in that state. You don't want to live in that mindset. You want to go back and just start reliving your life because that's what they would want you to do. And the best way he thought he could do it was start exercising. So he needed to get outside. He was going for a walk, and now he met his wife. But yeah, man, and it's pretty cool.
He changed his perspective, man. I think that's what it is. He allowed himself to look up for a little bit, and it changed his perspective. Not necessarily his mindset, because I'm sure he's still upset about losing his wife. Oh, that doesn't necessarily mean that just because he's sad does not mean he has to live as a sad person. It just means he was sad. It doesn't mean he is a sad person, right? And I think people get lost in that sometimes when something really bad happens. They think this happened to me, this happened to me, this happened to me. I am what happened to me. No, you're not. You're not. You have to remember to leave the emotion with the action, is what I like to say. So when something bad happens, we get this emotion. And what depression is not allowing the emotion to stay with what happened. And so we carry the emotion with us. We carry that depression with us, even though what happened to cause it is long gone. And it's way in the past, right? None of that shit, it's not happening to us anymore, but yet we still feel like it's happening to us every day. Right. We forget to leave the emotion that was stemmed from whatever happened with what happened. It's okay to feel from it. It's okay to, it's that phrase, it's okay to not be okay, right? Yeah, but there's a second part to that. It's just not okay to stay there. You know, you got to look up. You got to allow yourself to leave that emotion with what happened. When you had your first attempt, it sounded like it was that young, we hear that story all the time, right? Like the guy or the girl loses what they think was the love of their life. And now there's no way life can be any better than what it was. And so they take their lives, unfortunately. You know, but that I think that comes with one, lack of education on how to deal with those things. And two, it's the lack of the human brain being fully developed to understand that just because this happened doesn't mean it's always will be. Right. And you were young, you're 21, 22. Human brains don't fully develop until they're 26, 27 years old. It's a thing. It happens. But from that point, after that failed attempt, you continued living on, right? You continued working and everything else. What was that time like between that first attempt up until the time you made the decision to go into the military?
Like, what do you mean? What was it like?
Like, what was life for you like after that? Obviously, you're no longer with the.
Let me touch on this one real quick, right? You had said lack of education. You know, like it is a lack of education in the Latino community. You know, one, because we're told not to talk about it. We're told, no llores, chingon, you know, like, you know, don't cry, big guy. Real men don't cry. man, fuck that. Go get you another one. You know what I mean? This is another reason why we have a huge problem um, with relationships not working in the Latino community because nobody sticks with it. You know what I'm saying? And it's okay, but this is the lack of education. As I was a kid, the education I got was that's your girl. You know, you ain't gonna be nothing without her. But the minute they leave you, you feel like nothing. You know, like that as a kid, that's what I was in a sense taught. You know, so the education was the lack of it really wasn't there. The education I got was there. It was just the wrong priorities. It was the wrong information. It was the wrong education. And, you know, we got that because, man, it's like my kids, man, when they feel some type of way, I'm like, tell me what you're feeling. Tell me what you're thinking. If you need to cry and let some shit out, let it out, because I would rather you let it out to me so I know how I can help you rather than you hold it in and feel like you need to do something that doesn't even justify, you know, what's going on or your situation, because that's the short-term solution or a long-term solution for a short-term problem, you know? And then my life afterwards was great. And that was the crazy part about it. You know, I ended up meeting my ex-wife and we ended up having kids of our own. And, you know, that thought process of my first attempt never entered my mind once I got married. Mm-hmm. It never did. You know what I mean? And with me and my ex-wife, like I didn't feel like my 3 attempts weren't because of my ex-wife. My 3 attempts were because I was so sad. I was depressed. I was highly medicated through the VA, highly medicated. But those attempts weren't, you know, because I got married with my ex-wife in 2002, mm-hmm. you know, but my attempts didn't start until literally like 2012. So for those 10 years, you know, prior to me getting out of the military, because I went in 2008, my life from 2002 to literally 2010 were great. It was whenever I got back from deployment in 2011 that my relationships with my wife started going south. But I stayed disciplined in the relationship with my kids. I maintained the same standards. You know, it's just, I was just a different guy. I was just a different man, you know, and I feel bad because my ex-wife didn't deserve that. You know what I mean? She doesn't deserve any of that, man. She's a great mom, you know, but, and I tell her all the time, you know, I apologize for not having my shit together and being the man that I am today. Like, that's the guy you deserved. You know what I mean? But, now it's like, I'm not that guy I used to be anymore. And I know that's who you fell in love with. So it's like, if I'm not that guy anymore, I'm lying to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, the relationship, you know how it goes when somebody says, when they get in a relationship, oh, I love him, girl, but you know, he does this. If I can get him to fix this and fix that. Nah, bitch. Don't change him at all. Because the minute you change him is the guy that he is not, that you fell in love with.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't change the dude. Like, because that's the whole point of being in a relationship, that you fell in love with him. Let him be, like, because it's all about compromise. Man, there's shit that people do that you're not going to like, but there's many more things that they do that you love. So compare like a small, minute problem to something that they do that you don't like, but you love all these other things. You know what I'm saying? And it's just one of those ordeals that sometimes we forget how lucky we are for the spouses we have. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm curious as to what put you in that mindset after that first attempt, for those 10 years after that first attempt. Like, I'm curious as to how you found yourself able to not allow that relationship to define you. Because it sounds like before the relationship defined you, right? So that's why when it ended, right. You had that attempt. So, you know, after that attempt, you get into this other relationship, but you're not at that headspace anymore to where you're going to allow it to define you. And I'm wondering, was it due to the attempt? Was it due to the aftermath? No. Was it just like, what? Oh my God, that was so stupid.
No, what it was realizing that she wasn't my foundation, realizing that she wasn't my everything, realizing that everything I was told that I needed to do and be right, going back to that wrong education that I got, everything that I was told that I needed to have, that she would be my foundation, my rock, my everything. Well, I was doing perfectly fine once we weren't together anymore, and I started working more hours. I got busier with work. I was using what I had with me to my advantage in sidestepping what mindset could have been. So I just got busier with work, and that's just it. Like that's what some of my videos were about on my old account, was that you keep your hands busy, your mind's busy. If your mind's busy, you're not thinking about your PTSD. That's already beating half of the problem. The solution is halfway already there,
Right.
Now, and with that being said, once I started working and started living my life, I wasn't in a sad and depressed state anymore, because I was out doing my thing. That I ended up meeting my ex-wife. And then I realized, okay, so in my first relationship, that lady was my foundation and rock and my everything. In this relationship, that's not going to happen. We're going to be equal. And if I come in and I have a relationship with somebody, it's going to be to the point to where I got my shit together. When you come in, you're icing on the cake. You know what I mean? Like you're not defining me. You're icing on the cake, and I'm your icing on your cake. Because if we ever decide to split, we will be perfectly fine, and we won't be in a headspace or in a mindset to where I feel like my foundation has left.
You came to the conclusion. You found the difference between want and need, bro, is what it sounds like. Mm-hmm. You found the difference, right? We always hear those stories like, I need you in my life. I love you so much. I can't breathe without you. I don't know how I'm going to live without you. I need you. I need you. I need you. And it's like, whoa, hold on. When you tell somebody you need them, you know what kind of pressure that puts on that person and on yourself to make that relationship work? There's only a few things in this life that you need to survive: food, water, air, and shelter. That is it. Those are the four things you need in life to survive. Now, if you want to survive happy and prosperous, that's when you start filling in with the wants you have for yourself in life. But wants are just that, wants. They're not needs. And if you can be okay with wanting something and not having it, you're still good, because you're still surviving. You're still who you are, right? You didn't allow yourself to get to that, I need her in my life. I need her in my life. It's, I want her in my life because she's icing on the cake, and that icing tastes really fucking good. But if that icing ever left, I know there's plenty of different icings. I still have the cake. I'm still the cake. Like, I'm still here. I have what I need to be. Whatever I want on top of that is just gonna come my way, and I can either accept it or not, and that's my choice. They become a choice. Right. Being a choice to me, being somebody's choice and not somebody's need. Option. I'd rather be somebody's option and choice, because then that means they chose you. Out of the million options they could have had, they chose you. When you feel like a need, that means they're telling you, no matter what, you are better always fucking be here. You better not fuck up. You better not do this. You better not do that. Well, shit. I'm a human being. I might fuck up. Like, yeah, come on now.
Yeah, it's in our nature. It's in our DNA. Nobody's perfect, right?
Nobody's perfect at all. But it sounds like you came to that point of understanding the difference between want and need when it comes to relationships, right?
Well, it's not only that, right? It was also pressure and power. You know how you had said that whenever you say like, you're my everything, that puts a lot of pressure.
Oh yeah,
on people,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely,
that puts so much pressure on your spouse or on your companion, whatever the case may be.
And on yourself.
But for me, I also look at it this way, right? Because this is how I've learned from A relationship to B relationship, and what I deal with now. The one thing that I won't do is give anybody that pressure, but nor will I give someone that power. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because you can give the wrong person power. Because the pressure, what you thought was pressure, and saying, okay, I love you, you're my rock, you're my everything. To the right person, that is pressure. To the wrong person, that is power. You feel me? Because the one that doesn't love you, the one that doesn't love you and have your best interest will use that as power over you. But whenever you're in a depressive state or you're not in the right mindset to even be in a relationship, because that's what a person does. A person says that. A person that isn't in the right mindset will say that. Like, you're my everything. And it's okay to say that in cariños, you know what I mean?
Right,
in pillow talk. It's okay to say that. But to mean it literally, no. Nobody should ever say that because you are now giving the power you have and the power of your coping mechanism skills, the power of who you are as an individual. You're giving that over to one person and you're losing who you are. Has nothing to do with trust. It has to do with you personally. The minute you give away all of that power that you have near and dear to you, to someone else, you're no longer you. You're what they want you to be. And that's the difference, right? But in pressure, to the one that is the real one, that is the right one for you, will take it as pressure because they don't want, if it's reciprocated, they don't want you to be disappointed in them because you are their rock. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. So it definitely puts a lot of pressure.
I have this saying that whenever you know it's right, iron sharpens iron. When you know it's right, iron sharpens iron. But don't give no power to nobody. It doesn't matter how good their shit is or how much you love them. Don't ever give anybody any power over yourself because the minute you do that, you're no longer you.
I couldn't have said it better myself. And I love the fact that you use the analogy pressure over power and power over pressure. It's when we do that with people that are depressed, right? They feel like, well, nobody loves me. I don't want to be a burden to anybody, this and that, right? The common theme is there's always somebody else involved, right? There's always, I'm a disappointment to people. I'm a disappointment to this. I fucked up this for this somebody. They don't love me. And so it puts them in the depressive state of mind. The common thing that they're not realizing is that they are allowing other people to put them in that state of mind. Other people. And I'm here to tell you right now, there is no person or thing in this life that will ever make you feel worthy. Ever. People are fleeting. Things deteriorate, get old, and break. The only thing that is ever going to give you the satisfaction of being happy with who you are is yourself.
That's it.
It's the only thing. So don't put your self-worth into anybody or anything. Because the minute you do, you need to start thinking about, am I a depressed person? Why am I constantly searching for somebody to accept me? When really you should be constantly searching.
Or validate you.
Yeah. When really you should constantly be searching for, why don't I accept who I am for who I am? Why don't I validate myself? Those are the questions you need to be asking. Not, why don't they validate me or love me? Or why can't I have this or that? No, those things, remember, those things are fleeting. When you're fully happy with who you are, without anything or anybody involved, that's when you know you're in the right state of mind. I can love somebody to death, and if they leave me, yeah, it's going to hurt, it's going to suck, but it doesn't take away from who I am as a human being and who I am for myself. We beat that into the ground, brother, and I thank you for your point of view on all that, because I really do think that, a lot of people don't understand that. I mean, we talked about all this, and we haven't even hit your military experience yet, right? We haven't even hit your fucking military experience yet, and yet we've gone through depression due to relationships, depression that can be stemmed from our environment, our culture, education, bad education. We went through a lot of different really good stuff, all before the job, right? And that's the point. That's the point that I want to make with people listening to the show. Just because we're in the civil service, just because we're firefighters, cops, military personnel, It doesn't matter. Just because we're all these things does not mean we're not human beings prior to before the job. These are issues and shit that we were dealing with way before the job, right? Bro, I love your hair.
Man, it's getting long, bro. It's getting long. It's super curly, bro.
At least you have hair, bro. It's
like, you want some?
Yes.
Actually, I started growing it so I could donate it, man.
Oh, hey, I'll take some. And you got like the salt and pepper going on, bro. It'll work.
For real, bro. For real. You could have it, bro. There's too many guys that want me over my hair, man. You know?
I mean, I don't judge. It just means you're a good looking guy, bro. It just means you're a good looking guy.
I don't either. And you know what? Every time a guy comes over, man, like they're like, "Oh, I like your hair. I want your hair. If I give you this bottle of tea, would you let me have some?" And I'm like, "Nope. I ain't letting you have no. Oh wait, I need to get a different glass here." No, I'm just kidding, man.
As you're drinking tea,
I tease a lot. Yeah, I do that a lot, man. I tease people, man, because at the end of the day, I'm all about no judgment, man. I don't give a shit what you support, what you don't. I don't care who you like, who you hate. I don't care about none of that, man. At the end of the day, we're all family. We should be acting like it. You know, I accept you for my flaws and I accept you for your flaws. And I said my flaws first because you know what they are. And that's what I bring to the table. But, you know, it's just one of those things. So when people ask me, you know, Lou, are you like, you know, do you go both ways, man, or what? I always tell them, I always ask a simple question, you know, because I'm never going to tell nobody an answer that they already know, one. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But two, I always ask, would you love me any different? And they're like, no, I wouldn't love you any different, man. You are who you are. I'm like, well, then I'm not going to answer your question because I don't, you know, sometimes just in the way we are as humans, man, you can get the answer, even though you knew it, you're going to treat me different.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I just won't have that. I won't have that at all. And it's also a teachable moment too, for some folks. And it's cool, man. Like, I don't mind it, man. It's cool. But, you know, I know what I am. A lot of people know, obviously, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Like like it bleeds what I do. You know what I mean? I'm just confident in what it is that I am, man, and how I am. But it's just tripped out sometimes. But yeah, it is what it is. It's just, I just kind of laugh about it, man.
For me,
that's just what I want to do.
For me, it don't matter. It don't matter who you are, black, white, brown, green, yellow, gay, straight, bi. Look, if you're a good human being, you're a good human being. And for anybody that doesn't believe Lou or myself, go do the job we're doing. Go do the job we've done. Exactly. Tell me we don't care about any specific person.
Yeah.
Nobody voluntarily goes into a job where they sacrifice their life, body, and mind for their country and everybody in it. Everybody in it. Let me rephrase that. No, I'm not going to rephrase it. I'm just going to say it again. Everybody in it. Everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Not just one set or the other. Everybody. Or someone like myself who hops on a fire truck and goes to the call, and it doesn't matter who you are. If you're hurt, if your house is on fire, if you need help, we're there. It's not like I ask you, hey, wait, hold on. Are you gay? Are you straight? Hold on.
Yeah.
Do you believe this? Do you believe that? I'm not fucking giving you the 5th degree before I actually try to help you. No, I'm just there to help you. I don't give a shit about all that other stuff. Look, you want to hate me once you're better? Fine. Hate me once you're better. But that's not me. I'm there to help you. I don't give a shit who you are, where you come from. If you need help, we're going to help. Lou didn't give a shit who you are, where you came from, because he went and sacrificed himself for his country, for everybody in it. And for people that don't understand that, and for people that want to continue throwing shade and hate towards civil service members, be it military or first responder, for the job that they do, because you think that because the job has them biased towards a certain thing or people, you are missing the fucking point. They did the job because they don't have a bias. They did the job because they believe in human beings. They believe in you just being a human being, and they want you to continue doing that. That's why we do the job. There's no bias here. So don't tie a bias to the job. That's literally the farthest fucking thing from the truth.
Yeah.
And in saying all that, what in the hell guided you to go into the military at 30 fucking years old? And
man,
Lou, like, brother, I don't know how old you are. You're older than I am. I don't know how old you are, but 30 years old going into a civil service profession, even 30 years old going into like firefighting or being a cop, that's fucking old, dude. Like, you're not going to even able to retire, like a good retirement until you're like fucking 70.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
30 years old?
Yeah. So I worked for a beer company right out of high school. I was doing like warehousing stuff and it was a great job, man. But after that, I worked at UPS. I worked at UPS for pretty close to 10 years, man. Did some, I first started out with like part-timer, like Christmas help and stuff like that. And anyway, in my last year, man, there was a manager that was like a part-time manager. He pretty much was saying to other employees that I was stealing, right? I was stealing packages after my routes and this and that. And I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Like, you know, and unfortunately, guys, like I don't want to get sued by UPS or anything like that. But there's employees sometimes that will like look into packages. It happens, you know, like you got some bad people that work in all places, you know?
Right. There's bad actors in all forms of life and in all professions.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
So this guy was accusing me of stealing packages and stuff like that. And man, my grandparents worked too hard to protect their name. And when I found out about it, I confronted one of the managers, one of the main managers. And I was like, hey, you got a supervisor over here saying this stuff about me, like word got around because everybody liked me. Like, you know what I mean? Like I never gave nobody a reason not to like me. Even in shit talking, they still respected me and doing, you know, and me being me. But, when I found out about it, I went to my management, told them, and went to the district manager. They didn't do anything about it. And then the second time I went up to them, I said, hey, look, either you guys fix this shit or I'm going to take matters in my own hand. And by the third time, that's when I found out about it. And I was like, oh, hell no. Like, that ain't it. So I ended up hitting one of the managers in the mail, you know, like straight up. I hit him and he didn't know how to react. So I ended up getting terminated for that, you know, only to find out like 3 months after I got terminated for that, he got fired for stealing. And the reason the management didn't do anything whenever I was bringing this stuff up is because that manager was under an investigation from loss prevention, you know, and that's why they couldn't do anything. But that ended up getting me fired. I ended up spring loading myself into the military. I said, you know what? I've always wanted to join the Marine Corps. I tried to join the Marine Corps. I couldn't. And that was because I had basically passed the age limit to join the Marine Corps.
You were old as shit. Yeah, we got
which
it.
Was, yeah. I think at the time the age it was like 27, I think.
Right.
But even at that, bro, straight up, even at that, I was 300, 280 was 282 was my lowest PT test ever. When I went in the military, even at 30 years old, I still had six pack. I still was walking out like 10 and a half minute 2 miles. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I've always been in shape, man. Like this is the worst shape I've ever been in my entire life. And I just barely came off of back surgery. And on the 4th, I had major back surgery. I had spinal fusion done from my L2 all the way down to my hip. And this is the worst shape I've ever been in my entire life, ever. But whenever I went in at 30 years old, I was in great shape. You know, I was never worried about it. The only thing that was different was it was a complete culture shock. So I had 20-year-olds, 22-year-olds who had been in already 3-4 years tell me, like, in charge of me, and they're still wet behind their ears in life, but they knew military shit, you know? And it got to a point to where, like, man, I want to talk to you like Joe, but bro, your life experiences are already badass. Like, I can't talk to you like Joe. You know, I have a different level of respect for you than Joe, you know, because you're not 18 in here. You already got family, you know, like my oldest one was like 12 years old whenever I joined the military, you know? So So I already had kids, somewhat damn near half these kids' ages that were in there. You know, there was only a 5-year. I think we had a 16-year-old in boot, and that's because he had one of those oh man, what is it? It was a waiver that was signed, but it was epic. He was the only 16-year-old I know have a waiver signed.
I want to ask you something. So you're jumping in at 30 years old, and this is a kind of an issue that we've seen even in the civil service, is that when people jump in a little bit late, right, and now they're COs, a commanding officer in the civil service realm, it's like a lieutenant or something. Now you have these kids who, like you said, are wet behind the ears, but they work their way up the ranks, and now you have. What kind of difficulty did you find it being that 30-year-old guy having to take orders from a CO that's 21, 22 years old? Now, I know the mindset for people that go into the military is different. Like for me, it'd be like, you know what? He's that rank. He deserves, he gets the respect, period, end of story. Now, when we're out of uniform and whatever, if he wants to talk shit, then we'll handle it then. But on the job, that's my commanding officer. That's the guy that's in charge. He deserves the respect that I'm going to give him. Now, I think you would have that kind of mindset, but even still, even having that kind of mindset, there's this little piece in the back of our minds, like, man, this kid don't know shit about life. What the fuck? You know?
Right.
So well, how did that play into your mind a little bit? I know it's kind of separate, but I'm curious.
No. It is kind of separate, but it still overlaps in life, right? Mm-hmm. Like military isn't all we're about. We are life. I mean, we are human. We have life experiences prior and after the military. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that I learned, man, was whenever I did get treated different by my NCOs. I did, you know, because some of them didn't even have kids and they didn't have levels of responsibility that I had. And they were like, Lou, I ain't got nothing to worry about with you. You got a family, man. But, you know, if I need to go out and have a good time, can I call you to come pick me up? Because you always have to have a pace plan in everything you do. Primary, alternative, contingency, emergency. So whenever you're out drinking, you know not to drive, because we know anybody that gets caught with a DWI, the entire fucking platoon gets smoked, right? So I was put in that position to where I didn't mind, man. My ex-wife at the time she never drank, you know, like she didn't drink. So it was real easy for me to hop in my Tahoe, even though I was drunk. It was real easy for me to hop in my Tahoe, let her drive it. We'll go downtown Colorado Springs and pick up some of our battles, you know, because I didn't go out with them. You know what I mean? But I was that designated driver. I had no problem with it. But as far as hanging out outside of and I'm sorry, man, sometimes it sounds like I yell. I'm just deaf in one ear. And,
no, you're good.
And I don't know what my volume sounds like, you know?
I'll deal with it in editing, bro. Don't worry about it. It's all good. You can talk, yell, scream, whatever you want.
Hey, man, whenever I'm live and shit, they're always like, why is this guy yelling? And I'm like, I'm not. I'm just passionate. Like, I just have a loud voice, man. You know? But, you know, it just wasn't, it didn't affect me, man. And outside of the military, I even had, I had one of my NCOs like move in with me. You know what I mean? He's one of my brothers till this day. I went down to Wisconsin, man, to go check on him and see him. And in between me getting out of the military and seeing him was 5 years. And when we saw each other, of course, man, it was like the waterworks and all that. But it was just one of those things. So I maintained that discipline. You know, I maintained that discipline while at work, but at home, you know, we were human. You know what I mean? And seeing it now, I wanted to get into I wanted to do some LEO stuff, you know, some LEO work and what have you. But I didn't get into it. And I'll tell you why. One, I know about the politics involved, and I can't stand that. I can't stand the politics involved in our law enforcement right now. I can't stand it. And unfortunately, my career would have never, ever taken off. And that is partly because you got a lot of book smart people running.
The guys on the street.
You know, you got a lot of book smart. Yes. The guys on the street who are actually from the street. You know what I'm saying? And you handicap them to a point to where you can't let them do what they need to do. And to be honest with you, they become no different than the way Obama literally handcuffed us from doing our job when we were in Iraq. You know what I mean? Right. And at the end of the day, that I have no problem saying what it is that I'm thinking. And, you know, I don't have a filter sometimes, and it can come across as wrong to some people. But at the end of the day, I'm also like, I'm not going to lie to you, you know? Like, I won't do that to you. Like, I respect you that much that I won't lie to you. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
And that's just it.
When you're going through your boot and everything, realizing that, yeah, you're a little bit older. What branch? You did go into the Army, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
you tried.
Bend.
Yeah, you tried Marines, didn't get Marines, went Army. I'm surprised they didn't send you to freaking Fort Bliss, you being Army and being from Odessa.
No, man. No. When you go to boot, when you join the infantry,
mm-hmm.
when you go join the infantry in the Army, I didn't want to do anything else. Nothing against other MOSs, right? Because there's
mm-hmm.
two jobs in the military. There's infantry, and then there's support for infantry. It doesn't matter if you're a truck driver. It doesn't matter if you're a mechanic. It doesn't matter if you're a JAG officer. None of that matters. You're all there to support infantry. At the end of the day, you know
right.
what I'm saying? If you're a JAG officer and some truck driver gets hurt because he was doing this or that on his way to drive, you know, like take supplies to grunts, like that's it, man. That's just the way it goes. At the end of the day, you're either infantry or you're support for infantry. So being infantry, and I enlisted for that. I was like, when I was a kid, I never played soldier and said, today I'm going to be a cook. You know, you guys go play. I'm going to be the cook.
Right.
When I was a kid, I was like low crawling. I was doing the whole that, you know? And when you join the infantry and the Army, man, you go straight to Fort Benning. That's home of the infantry. There's no other place they send you. You know, that's where Ranger School is at. And
how long after boot were you deployed?
So I got out of boot in November, early November, and I deployed in March.
Oh, wow. So not even 5 months later.
Nah, man, it was a lot of fun. I miss it, man. I miss it. And I wish there was something that some of these people would understand. When I was in Iraq, man, I felt more at peace in a combat zone. And now that I'm in a peace zone in America, I feel more combative. You know what I'm saying? Like, how did we get here?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's a damn shame, man. It's a damn shame.
I agree with you, man. And me personally, I never joined the military. I've only been in civil service ever since I was 23. So 23, I've been in the civil service. It's just, I was a firefighter, and that's just what I've been since, right? And shit, not 23, 21. Damn. I'm getting older.
Old ass don't even remember.
I don't. I don't fucking remember. Anyway, but yeah, I get it. Sometimes, like, I would find myself sometimes taking overtime just so I could stay at the job and not have to go home. You know, because it felt like I can deal with the stresses here in the job better than I could deal with the stresses at home. Yeah. I was able. I knew what to do. I knew how to handle that. But when I went home, it was like, oh, the dishes aren't done. I'm like, I don't give a fuck if the dishes aren't done. I just did CPR on a 6-year-old. I don't give a fuck if the dishes aren't done. What are you talking about? So, like, having that mentality is hard to, when you come back home, that empathy is hard to switch back on, right? I heard a saying, and it was a TikTok video, and they said something to the effect of civil service members are selective psychopaths in that we can turn on and on our empathy at a drop of a hat. Mm-hmm. Like we're able to. My empathy's gone. I don't give a shit. Time to do the job. All right, empathy's on. Oh, I'm sorry you're going through that. Let me give you a hug. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Why do you think that is?
I think, well, I've done a lot of research actually on it because it was part of the depression that I was dealing with, is that when I came home, I wasn't able to turn the empathy back on, right? Because when I was on the job, it was, there's a problem, there's steps to mitigate this problem. There's a problem, let's take care of it. Let's work, let's get it done. So when I came home, I didn't know how to, not necessarily switch it off, but I didn't know how to integrate it or let my family know that was the mindset I was in. So whenever I would, get heated or upset, it was, hey, there's a problem, fucking fix it. Like I would talk to them like I would talk to the guys at work. Hey, go get this, go get that, cut here, cut there. When I got home, it was the same thing. Hey, clean the fucking bathroom. Hey, stop talking to your mother that way. Blah, blah, blah. And or if it was something with my wife, well, if there's a fucking problem, go take care of it yourself. You don't need me here to take care of it. Like it was bad because I would react instead of process because I was so used to the job where problem, react, fix, done, on to the next one. When I came home, it doesn't work that way, especially with friends, family that don't understand how our minds work. They literally get molded into this separate way of dealing with the job. So when you come back home, it was difficult for me to, one, let them know where I was at mentally to begin with, right? And two, to switch it off, to not again, I don't want to say switch it off. It was hard for me to express what was going on and why I was reacting that way. Had I been able to do that, then it probably would have allowed them to understand where I was coming from, right? And it probably would have worked out a lot better.
And that's one thing that we because I used to do the same thing, and that's one thing that we do, man. Unfortunately, is we don't leave work at work. You know what I'm saying? And we forget that they don't get the training that we get. And even if they got the training that we got, we still want to put it in our mindset that, okay, you had the training that you needed to understand where I'm coming from. But they're over there like, nah, bitch, you're forgetting. This is what you chose to do. This is what isn't what we chose to do. We are here to support you, not do your shit. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes as civil servants, man, we have more patience with other people than we do with the very people that we love.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because the very people we love, we got this feeling and notion that they completely understand who we are and what we want, but yet we forget that's not who they fell in love with. They didn't fall in love with the firemen. They fell in love with you. And now you've kind of drifted apart or drifted in a sense because I did this. I am very guilty of this. I drifted in being the soldier dad instead of being the dad because I was a dad before joining the military. And once I started converting the two, they didn't like that. And my two oldest rebelled, rightfully so, because that's not what they were used to, and they didn't change on me. I changed on them. And the expectations were completely different. And then with my younger two, I realized what I was doing and I fixed it. I rectified it, but I no longer, I leave work at work. You know what I'm saying? I leave work at work. And as far as being a father with my two youngest, man, I'm like, what's good? What can I help you with? You know what I mean? Like, talk to me because I want to know what the fuck I'm doing to help, because we can help, but sometimes in helping, it's the wrong help. And that might not be the help you need. And I just need that direction, man, because like you said, we got a problem. We know how to fix it. This is how we address it, and once we address it, then we're going to fix it. But at the same time, there's just some shit. Tactics aren't meant for certain situations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I want to challenge you on something. You said leaving work at work, and we hear that all the time. Leave your home life at the door when you come to work. Leave your work life at the door when you come home.
Decompartmentalize.
Here's the thing, though. I think there's a little bit of an issue with that. The human mind, the human brain, doesn't actually work that way, right? We can, if something bad happens at work, we can be upset about it, and when we come home, that thing can still upset us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we were just to leave it at the door, we got to pretend like nothing's wrong when we come home. Well, then are we really truly being honest with those people in our lives that are surrounding us? No, we're not. We're not being honest with them because we're not being honest with ourselves because there's something that's bothering us, right? So I think, and again, this is something that I've done some research on. I think what has to happen is the communication between yourself and the people that are in your life, including those at work. Hey, this is what's happening at home. I may be a little bit out of it. At least now they know, all right, hey, he let me know. So if we see something, we know what's up, but that doesn't mean you can't do the job. And when I come home, hey, this is what happened at work. I might be a little bit out of it. Now they understand, okay, you know what? He had a bad day, something bad happened, or he's used to it. I don't think we need to completely shut it off because when you completely shut it off, you're not allowing You're not allowing both sides to understand where you are completely.
No, yeah, I
Right?
get that. I get that completely, right? Because you could be saving some kid's life,
Mhm.
right? You can be saving some kid's life who was possibly bleeding out, and you had to cut a red shirt, right? Let's say that you had to cut a red shirt in order to do what you need to do. You know what I mean? But then you realize, all right, I'm on my way home. I'm decompartmentalizing. I'm getting ready to go home and do this thing. And one of your kids could be wearing a red shirt. That's a trigger. That
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? You might not catch it right then, but that's a trigger. And then all of a sudden, you are now thrown in a different. You're now thrown in a different mood than you were. What you were preparing for to be like when you got home. You know what I mean? And I know. I know where you're coming from, and I know, believe me, you know what I mean? But there's one thing we definitely got to do as far as civil service. Man, you got to leave that shit at work. You have to. It's almost psychotic. It really is. It's almost psychotic. And the reason I say that is because you're asking people to leave shit at home, what they just dealt with for 12 hours. You're asking, or 24 hours, whatever, to leave that shit at work and not bring it at home. Like, I get it. That's psychotic. Only psychotic people can do that. But there's also something that normal people don't have, and that's your training.
Right.
Normal people don't have your training, right? You know
don't get me wrong. I'm not saying spill all the fucking nasty details. Okay. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, brother.
But I do spill those details because how else is it going to hit home with them? You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to have another situation come up. Whether this is the thing, right? So you have that one detail you could have shared, but you didn't. And then tomorrow there's another detail that you could have shared, but you didn't. And every day it piles on because that kid that you saved his life in the red shirt, that doesn't leave your memory. So every time you see a kid with a red shirt, it can be a trigger for you, right? Mm-hmm. And with that being said, it's like if you have a moment to just break down with your family, because the key word is communication, because I agree with you on that. If you have a moment to break it down and say, look, this is what happens. Okay, I found this out. I did this the other day and it stuck with me. And it stuck with me to a point that I can't leave it at work. So here's the deal. This is what happened. And you get graphic. Because it's important for them to understand what you're dealing with, not a fraction of it. They need to know what you're dealing with. And if you break down. You know what I mean? Because those tears are so much more powerful in your story that they will remember this shit whenever they're older as adults. And they won't be so judgmental. They'll be more patient in hearing other people out because it is also about social development. You know what I mean? Because you're their dad. They don't want to let you down, but they're going to remember, classic conditioning remembers. Okay, I didn't want to be an ass to my dad. I'm not going to be an ass to other people. I'm going to treat people with respect because I don't know where they're coming from.
Right.
And my dad broke something down that will stick with me forever. And then those teachable moments, you can just look at somebody. Like we used to get the look when we were kids. When we did something wrong, we got that look and we were like, oh shit.
Oh shit.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We were classic conditioned to recognize that look, right? Well, we can give a certain sad face and our kids would know because of the very first time we got graphic with them, they remembered that look. You know what I mean? And it's not nothing that will haunt them, because you're doing it in a valor, in a respectful way, in a productive and positive way. You know what I'm saying? Not in a negative limelight. So if you're talking about a story of somebody being sexually assaulted and you're being open about it and you're educating somebody about what you just dealt with someone who went through it, then those kids are going to look at sexual assault completely different as to when they got sexually assaulted themselves.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But at least you brought education to them. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things, man. It's a teachable moment. And in all honesty, it's a moment that will stick with them forever. That'll have a ripple effect that will eventually reach to the edge of the pond. And that's a good thing about life.
Yeah. Hell yeah, it is. When you were deployed, I'm not going to ask you to relive anything that may have been traumatic for you, but I'm assuming you did go through some pretty traumatic experiences while you were deployed. When you came home, you said you were a different person, right? you've already said this. You have already apologized to your ex because of it. And when did you realize that you probably needed some help after you came home?
It was okay. So when I got out, my last day in the Army was December 26, 2012. I literally thought that was the best day of my life. I thought that was the best Christmas present I could ever have. And then about 2 months later, I was like, I hate civilian life. There's so many stupid people out here. I was like, why? You know, I went from living on base to where everybody that lives on base is on the same page. Whether they agree with you or not, they're still on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And the sacrifices that everybody made was on the same page. But then whenever I left the military, and I was like, damn, the mere fact of dealing with people that had no clue what sacrifice meant, hearing people talk about how shitty their day was, but they could actually go home and take a hot bath. You know, they had a porcelain shitter at every intersection. You know what I'm saying? I was like, tell me how bad your life is. Literally. Tell me how bad you got it. Because I want to tell you how good you really got it.
Right.
You know, like there's people in Iraq wearing sandals that somebody gave to them because someone gave it to them like 5 years ago. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, tell me about the horrible life you have. And I will give you instances about little kids so excited a convoy is rolling through their town that they know that they're going to get like a Gatorade or a big bottle of water that's cold. Like, tell me how bad your life is, man. And it was really difficult because I started getting lost in wanting to rebuttal with people that I've known for so long who were like, oh, I'm so depressed. No, bitch, you're seeking attention. That's not depression. You know, like I knew what depression was. I've lived it and shit like that. I was like, you can't tell me that you're depressed when you're out partying every weekend. Okay? And you got a babysitter, you know, to take care of your 4 kids from 5 different baby daddies. I said the math right. You know what I'm saying? Like, tell me you're depressed because you're not depressed at all whatsoever because you're going out every weekend. It's just you don't like your life choices. And that's a difference in being depressed and not liking your life choices, right?
Mm-hmm.
But tell me how bad your life is when you're out doing all these things, man. You know what I mean? Like I was just done with all that, man. And that just made me literally just made me want to like rebuttal with so many people, and you know, and just try to bring education to them, basically. But the non-filter that I had, you know, was just kind of bad. I lost some friendships, but at the same time, I'm also like, well, you weren't supposed to be in my life anymore. You know, like that's just the way that goes. But it was just weird, man. It was just weird.
Going through all that, when did you realize there was a change in you and that you needed to start working on what you were doing and how you were handling shit?
It was around my 33rd birthday. So when I got out, I was 33, right? So it would be my 34th birthday. When I got out, I was 33, and it was a couple of months later in March. Well, that's when my birthday was. That I realized, like, man, I keep digging my fucking hole. Like, I got this badass shovel, and all I'm doing is continuing to dig my hole even deeper. Like, why do I keep doing that? Why do I keep doing that? And there was a class, man, that I was taking at a local college, which was about A&P, or human anatomy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about how the brain is and how we only use 10% of our brain. And that moment, I realized if I'm only using 10% of my brain and I'm literally thinking about 80% of the time is nothing but depression, I need to readjust something here. And I had that light bulb moment. And instead of digging my hole and getting deeper, I started digging stairs to get myself out.
And what did you do to do that? What was that process like for you?
I focused. I focused. I literally started going to every single one of my mental health appointments. I was listening at first when I was going through my mental health appointments. I was listening to people and I was like agreeing with everything that they said. I would agree with everything. Like, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I'm doing that. And then toward like a year in, I was like, wait a minute. And I was taking like 2 appointments a week, 2 sessions a week, bro, for a whole year. I started realizing, I was like, wait a minute. I'm no longer agreeing with anything you're saying after the year of doing this. I am now questioning your tactics with the VA here, because they kept reminding me of the shit that would make me sad, so that I could stay in a sad, depressive state, so that I could keep coming back. And I was like, this is a year I can't get back. You know what I mean? Like we've been doing this cycle for so long, and it was job security for you. And that's when I started realizing, wait a minute, not all mental health is good for you. You know what I'm saying? Because there's some mental health out here, man, that is meant to keep you in a certain state of mind so that you don't get better, because if you got better, they ain't making money off your ass. You know what I mean? Like, I hate to say that, but
no. You're actually, you hit on something that I think people need to actually hear, especially people that are trying to help themselves, in that, you know, as hard as it is, you do have to do your own due diligence in vetting your treatment. And, you know, I was lucky enough, like the first therapist I ever went to, like the first 15 minutes in, she started crying. And I was like, bitch, why the fuck you crying? Like, I'm supposed to be crying, right? But I have to hand it to her, because instead of just trying to keep me there for her paycheck, she straight up said, she's like, you might be a little bit too much for me. I'm going to refer you to somebody else who might be able to help you. That is a good therapist. That is somebody that actually cares about your mental health and wants you to get better and help you, right? That's somebody that's not there in it for the paycheck. Your story about the VA is not uncommon, brother. Like, I have heard so many horror stories when it comes to mental health treatment from the VA that, now don't get me wrong, it has helped some, and it should, and it's there, and it's, look, if it's helping you, keep going. But I've heard a lot of horror stories from it. And, you know, that's why I created the nonprofit, because I didn't want anybody to be restricted on where they can and cannot go, right? And I don't want the finances to be that deciding factor. So say, hey, yeah, you're a military veteran, you can go to the VA and you can utilize them, and if it's helping you, great. But if you're realizing the VA is not for you, but there's really no other route for you to go because insurance is too expensive or treatment's too expensive, well, the nonprofit's going to be like, you know what, just find the place you want to go. We'll vet it together. We're going to send you. Don't worry about anything else. We got you. We got your family. We got you. We got your bills. Like, finances will not be in any way, shape, or form of that deciding factor for you to go. And you're not going to be limited on where you can go.
Right.
You figured this thing out with the VA and what they were doing. What did you do after that? Did you just stop all mental health treatment together, or did you kind of do your own thing?
Look, and this is just me personally and my personal experience, right? Because that's the only info I put out.
Right.
But in the end, everybody's situation may be different. However, it still is along the same highway. You can be in the left lane or right lane. It don't matter. You're still in the same direction. And that is to get better mental health wise. Now, with that being said, ain't no doctor out here and ain't no medication whatsoever going to get you through your mental health. Only you can do that. Only you are in control of that. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, we put a lot of power and a lot of pressure, going back to that power and pressure, right? We put a lot of that on people that don't know us when we know ourselves best. We put a lot of power into people that don't know us, that we know ourselves even more, to figure out what's wrong with us. When deep down inside, this is straight real talk, 100%. People will disagree with what I'm about to say, only because they know it's true. We already know the fucking answer of how to fix ourselves. We already know that answer. But yet we want validation from some dumbass that don't even know what we go through. Like, this is real talk, man. This go through anybody that goes through PTSD in any shape, manner, or form. You deep down inside your heart, mind, and soul already know what you need to do to fix you. Don't give your power to someone else. Don't pressure someone else that don't know jack shit about you to fix you. Because at the end of the day, they can lead your ass to water, but they can't make you drink it. And you already know. Everybody I've ever come across that's dealt with depression, everybody that I know that has dealt with PTSD, everybody that I know that has dealt with sexual assault, they know how to fix what's wrong with them. And it's okay, man. It's all good. But you gotta find that will within your soul, man, within your relatives, within your ancestors. You gotta find that answer and strength. You gotta find that answer or that strength to bring that answer forward so that you can swallow your pride and say, I can do this. I'm going to do this through the strength of my ancestors and all those that went before me, that died for me, so that I can fix this. But if you don't even want to admit that you don't know the answer, because deep down, bro, we all do. That's real talk. We all know it. We all know the answer.
I agree with you. I think deep down, we do all know the answer. What I'm going to challenge your thinking on, and I'm not going to say disagree. I always say challenge your thinking.
Wait, hold on. Because,
all right.
But with that being said, we know the answer. We just sometimes don't know how to get that out of us. You know what I mean? And there is mental health or mental health help with some of these doctors that can do it. You know what I'm saying? It's just when real quick, when you go and you start having like mental health appointments, these doctors look at you, they listen to you, and they're trying to figure out what's ailing you like an onion. They need to peel off each layer to get to the center of what the problem is, which is you. Mm-hmm. But you already know that. So in order to stop prolonging everything, okay, just be straight up. Say, because you already know the answer, just be straight up. This is why I have my issue. One of my biggest issues was trust. That was one of my biggest issues. I didn't trust myself because I've already tried to commit suicide, right? But there was some triggers in my PTSD that re-triggered my trust issue. That was the center core of my whole, wiring, if you will. Because everybody that has told me that they wouldn't leave me has left me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Right. And it's just one of those ordeals where I'm like, oh, go ahead and leave, do your thing. But I pumped the brakes when I was going through hell so many times by not being honest with a doctor who is there meant to help me. But that doctor was okay with me pumping the brakes so that we could prolong all these appointments so that she could keep getting paid. You know what I'm saying? So it's difficult, man. It's difficult.
Right.
And go ahead, my bad.
No, you're good. I understand what you're saying, man. I hear you. I definitely hear you. The thing that I want to, and you did kind of hit on it, that I wanted to challenge your thinking on is that, like you said, while we deep down, we do know the answers, sometimes we don't know how to get to that answer, right? And a lot of the times finding the courage to even admit to ourselves the way we're living our lives right now, even though we feel like that's the only way to live our lives, we don't have the courage to admit it to ourselves, right? And sometimes getting that help allows us to build that courage. I do understand and I do hear you on the whole. Yeah, these psychiatrists, these therapists, they know how to get you there. But I think the point, what they're trying to do is they need you to get there yourself, right? They need you to want to walk towards that water. They need you to take that water, to drink that water. You have to do it yourself. So sometimes it does take a long time because you're it's like you said, you're battling yourself. They're just there to guide, right? They're just there to guide. That's all they're there for. Some of them are shittier than others. I'm agreeing with you 110% on that. However, I've had the blessed experience to have help that I didn't get that feeling from them. They allowed me to take that path myself and finally peel back those layers and find that courage within myself to admit, hey, there's something wrong. I need to get fixed. So, I do agree with you. We all do have the answer. And if we look deep down inside and through the grit and shit and everything else, we can find that answer and we can do those things that are going to make us feel better about who we are. But I also challenging you in that I don't believe everybody can just do it. I think therapists and stuff like that help us find the way to do it.
And that's right, man. And I don't have like the best of words, bro. Like I never have. Like I said, I don't have no filter. But the one thing I will say this too is when we have courage to do all kinds of things, right? It's just in this aspect, like that courage doesn't break that barrier line of the left lane and right lane in order to admit what is wrong and what is this. Because we have courage to stand up and fight every single day for our freedom. We have courage to do all these other things, like voice our opinions on certain things. It's just we have the courage in us in other aspects of life, except, whenever it comes down to the people, we jump that lane. You know what I mean? Like we jump it, and it's not nothing bad. It's just some people's priority in figuring out this main problem right here. They skip it because they're okay with the rest of their life. But little do they know, if they just handle this problem in this lane, if they just handled it, everything outside that lane would be so much more better. You know what I mean? And then it's crazy, man, because we have the courage to do these things. We just don't think we do. But when you use an example of all the courages that apply to, standing up for this or fighting for that or what have you, or, like whatever in a competition, you know what I mean? Like you have that courage in you. Just apply it here. It's difficult, but it's not that difficult. Like, you know what I mean? Because we do it every day.
Right.
And I get it, bro. I get it big time.
I hear you. The thing is that it is difficult, but it's not that flight. Difficult.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah. Right. It's fight or flight. Yeah.
Exactly. We all have it. We all use it. I want to push forward a little bit, and I appreciate everything that you, man. Like,
yeah, man.
I love your passion, man. Your passion when you talk, you can hear it and you can see it. I want to push forward. You had your attempt when you were 21, 22, but then you said you had several other attempts when you came back.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask if you're willing, like, what was it that kind of pushed you to those attempts after you came back? Would you attribute it to the military life? Like, what was it that kind of put you back into that headspace?
So whenever my first attempt was in 2013 after I got out, right? Mm-hmm. And my wife and I, we were going through a separation and what have you, but it wasn't my attempt wasn't because of her. You know what I mean? My attempt was because I felt like I was a failure as a father. I felt like I was a failure as a husband. I felt like I wasn't, everything that I've been living for the past 3 or 4 years that I ate, breathed, breathed, and slept, like it wasn't there anymore. I was dealing with civilians who have their heads so far up their ass, like, I don't know, like how did we get here kind of thing. I was dealing with that every day. And it was just becoming so overwhelming that I was like, you know what? Like, this isn't what I serve for. I miss my battle brothers, man. I miss the conversations that we had. I miss sleeping in our all-man tent. You know what I mean? And hearing, fucking farts in the middle of the night. And, you know what I mean? Like, mm-hmm. I miss being with people around me that were on the same page. Like, that's what I missed my way of life. Because the soldier's creed, man, like if anybody knows what it is, like Google it. But at the end of the day, you eat, breathe, and sleep it, and it's taken away from you. That was my foundation. That was my rock. That's who I was. And not saying that, once I was medically retired, that was the whole reason for doing it. I just wasn't the same guy anymore. Like it was a combination of not being a good dad, not being a good husband, not having my brothers with me again, not being a soldier, being around dumbasses that don't even appreciate what it is soldiers do. Like we pay football players who wear a different helmet millions of dollars. And, like we pay our service members shit. Like it was just a whole clusterfuck. And then going to school at the same time, it was just, overwhelming. And I just felt like, you know what? Let me take these medications, and I ended up waking up, and I was like, God had a different purpose for me. All right, let's get it. I got better. And then in 2014, again, I was on the brink of graduating. it was just it was just a bad dark time for me. You know, financially, I really wasn't doing well. Um, and part of it too is because I lost self respect for myself. You know, I've worked construction and I was giving people like the lowest prices, like dirt cheap prices for my work, you know, like, and then I would help people out. Like, I would help people out that would give me this sobbing story. Like, bro, you know, like, let me do some payments, this and that. I'm like, all right, cool. I don't have any money, this and that. I would do a job for them. I would do a roof job, a bathroom remodel, or whatever the case may be, bro. And these people that didn't have a job would turn around and go buy a Harley like 3 weeks later. Or they would go buy jet skis a month later. I'm like, wait a minute, bro. I thought you didn't have no money. And it was the mere fact of me believing in people and believing in the good and trusting them. And then I was like, you know what? My PTSD, I didn't think about it at the time, but my PTSD let me believe in bullshit because it manipulates your mind.
Right.
You know? It's a never ending ordeal. And it was the same thing for the fifth one. You know, for the fourth attempt, it was the same thing. But after that, it was like a light bulb moment. And that was in 2015. It was like a light bulb moment. And I gotta be honest with you, man, it was college that really woke my eyes up to some things, you know? And that was my darkest moments. And I didn't get to see my kids a lot. It was really dark time for me. You know, I lost my grandma. You know what I'm saying? Like things like that, bro, you know?
Right. The human stresses that we all go through, right? And sometimes they're compounded with the job, right? You're missing what you knew, what you were trained for. And, you know, I heard something a while ago and it kind of stuck with me. And it was something that was like a holy shit moment. Like, I can't believe I attempted. It was, you know, you like you were saying, you felt like you were a bad husband. You felt like you were a bad father. You felt like you weren't making enough money. You know, you were dealing with stupid people. And had you succeeded, that would have been the last thing you remembered, right? You take all that with you. And what was said was, did you ever think that had you succeeded, you're not actually getting what you were really wanting? No, I'm just making the pain stop. Are you really? Or are you just taking it with you? Like that's literally going to be the last thing you remember is the pain.
Yeah.
So if you did succeed in your suicide attempt, you're not actually gaining what you think that suicide attempt is going to be bringing you. As a matter of fact, you're getting nothing. Absolutely
the complete opposite. You're going to get the complete opposite.
You're gaining nothing. Now, like in your case, now you don't even have a chance to become a good father. Now you don't have a chance to find good people to surround yourself with. Now you don't have a chance to find a good job, to make a little bit more money, to be in a more stable place. Like, you literally take that all away from yourself. So had you succeeded, you would have never actually gotten the things that you were truly searching for. You would have never become good with who you are and where you're at. You would have let your depression win. And that is not you think that's the point. You think suicide is the answer because you think it's going to stop and give you these things that you're truly wanting when it's not. It's actually giving you nothing. It's giving you nothing. And as a matter of fact, for all those people that are in your lives, you're actually adding trauma and turmoil to their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think, for me, when I heard that, it was like, oh shit, this guy's right. Had I succeeded, I wouldn't have become better like I wanted to be. I wouldn't have become a better father. I wouldn't have had the chance to become a better father. Like, the last thing they're going to remember is their dad was sad and now he's gone. That's the last thing that they're going to remember.
Yeah.
Instead of, he lived a good life. He loved us. He died peacefully in his bed. Like, I would much rather have that scenario instead of my dad was sad and he shot himself. Right? Like, when you really
and
step
man, have
back
you
and
ever
think about
heard?
that,
It's crazy, but have you ever
hits.
heard like when somebody lost someone? Like, have you ever heard the way they explain something, the
Yeah.
situation? Like, cause we're real talk, you know what I'm saying? But have you ever heard of someone that has walked into a room and they got their kid hanging from their closet shelf? Or have you ever heard a story where, you know, they walk into a bedroom and they see that their dad or their kid has shot themselves? Like, have you ever heard a story like that?
Yeah, I have. And
You know, when I was going through my thing here, and when I say that it was college that opened my eyes up to what it was that I was doing, it was because one of my professors, man, had opened up to me, and he said PTSD is no joke, and I will do whatever I can do to accommodate your class, Lou, and accommodate my class to you. And if there's ever any time you need me to do a recording because you can't make it, because I was going to see mental health appointments all the way. I would drive from here to Denver, you know, here to Colorado Springs, from like Odessa to Colorado Springs is a 14-hour drive sometimes.
damn, yeah.
And I would have to drive, man, to go see a specialist over there and what have you. But it was his story that actually changed my complete mindset, that started the whole light bulb moment, because you know, he had mentioned to me that whenever he was 14 years old, his dad had shot himself, you know. And when he told me this story, I immediately remembered a kid that my brother used to go to school with. And you know, they found her brother, basically. They found her brother in a closet where he had hung himself, and it was all because he was bullied and he just wanted to be accepted. And I was like, damn, like there's nothing I'm gonna leave this world, you know. Like, I pride myself in being positive and all these things, and make people laugh and what have you. That makes me feel so much better and whatnot. And that's going to be, like you said, that's going to be the last thing they remember. And that was my light bulb moment, because nothing that I would do for a short-term solution or a long-term solution for a short-term problem is not even at the forefront in somebody that wants to fix themselves. And I literally mean fix themselves. You know what I mean? Because we have to fix ourselves.
Right.
But when I got told that moment, man, I saw the hurt, the pain in this guy's eyes. And he was in his 50s as a professor. He was in his 50s, and he saw that when he was 14 years old, 36 years later. You know, it still affected him. Like, he was walking into that bedroom and he was telling me, you know, like, it still stuck with him for all those years. You know, he broke down, he cried. And after he told me, he was like, I don't know why I told you the way I just told you, you know, and I'm sorry for crying and this and that. And I'm like, no, you do you, boo, you know. But he was like, there's just something that made me wanted to tell you that. And ever since then, it was like, you know,
And
that's why I try to help people.
And that's why I believe it's very important for us to share our stories, because when you share your story and what you've gone through and the trials you've had in trying to fix yourself or become better or do better or whatever your story is, there's going to be a point in time that it might help one person.
Oh,
and that one person can go on to make a huge difference in the world, or it could at least keep them alive long enough to have, you know, help see their kids grow up, or give them that courage to start taking the steps. Like, it's hard sharing. It's hard when you first start sharing your story, right? Because when I noticed this with myself. When I started sharing my story, it was just a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here. And then it progressively, okay, now I'm going to tell you a little bit more of that story. I'll tell you a little bit. And then now it's like, I'll tell you everything. I'll tell you exactly what went down, how I got to that place, what it was like going through that afterwards, my treatment plan, what I'm doing. And it helps people realize that it can be done. And if it's that whole, if I can do it, you can do it too mentality, right? And it's not necessarily, if I can do it like this, that means you can do it like this too. It just means there's a way to do it. Not necessarily the way I did it. It just means there's a way to do it, right? And that's the point. The point is there is a way. I mean, you had a professor that shared his story that, for lack of a better term, saved you. It saved you. It puts you in a mindset of, I got to get better. Right? And it gave you different reasons, and everybody's going to have their own reasonings, but it gave you reasons, and it gave you that reflection to get better. I believe sharing those stories with people, that's the point. That's why we share our stories. That's why I have this podcast. That's why I created a nonprofit, because we have to kill this stigma that we can't share these stories and we can't share that we're struggling. Look, people struggle. It's a human thing. You're happy to hear all my happy moments. You're happy to hear all those things. You should be just as willing and able and wanting to listen to the stories of when I'm struggling or when I'm having a bad time or when I went through a bad time. You know, like, I'm still in progress. I work on myself every day. And I'm sure you work on yourself every day to make sure we don't go back to that state of mind. It's a process. But when we share our stories, it helps us make that process easier and hopefully help somebody else with their process.
Oh, most definitely. Bro, there's one thing that whenever somebody reaches out to me, you know, like someone will reach out to me and I always kind of, like, I have a tactic that I really don't share what it is, my tactics that I use, and how I approach with people, because not everybody's the same. You know what I'm saying? So, my tactics are different depending on where you're at mentally and mindset wise. With that being said, man, whenever I hear somebody say that they suffer from PTSD, they're still in a depressive state of mind.
Oh,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean?
Absolutely.
But whenever I hear somebody say that I deal with it, I live with it, then they're on the upside of things. You know what I'm saying? And when they're on the upside of things, I'm like, cool. Then you know what? The work that I got to do in order to get your mindset where it needs to be is not a lot. But there's one thing that PTSD does. It doesn't stop. You know, so you're constantly always working on yourself, right? So, but it all depends on how you're approaching it. You know, it all depends on how you're approaching it. So, you know, whenever the players were doing like a knee right before the football game, remember how they're already starting a battle that they're going to have for 3 hours. They're already starting a battle in a submissive position. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it is not meant to be praying, because that's not what they're doing. They're not praying. Right. They're protesting. They're fighting, but they're giving up in a position. Like, I'm sorry, man, but when we're going out to battle, there's one thing. You're going to hear my war. You're going to hear my war cry. You're going to see my war pose. You're going to see me get ready to get down. I am not going to be on one knee, because I've already prayed before we got to you. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, I'm already going to be good, but I'm not going to be in a position to where I'm like this before I start doing this, you know? And with that being said, it's the same mental mindset with PTSD. And it's the matter of approach that you're dealing with your PTSD that makes me have a different tactic that I use, right? So it's just being able to see where you're coming from, that kind of not speeds it up, but you know, when you hear somebody talking, you know where they're at. Just the mere fact of me being here and us talking, like the way we're talking, tells you where my mental mindset is at. That tells you that I'm strong enough to not ever do anything anymore. And not only that, man, we're motivating people out here. Like, I can't even tell you, like, the amount of messages that I get from, like, Lou, man, your story. This is why I go live in my tutu sometimes, and I make videos in my tutu. I'm an infantry guy, man.
Yeah, you know I've seen those. Like,
I'm a trained ass killer. You feel me? Like, I should not even be in a tutu, but there's some people that lack self-confidence, you know? And I'm out here in my tutu, and I'm like, no, do you? Fuck what everybody else thinks. And one guy had made a comment in one of my videos, like, oh, men in tutus is what's wrong with this country. And I was like, whoa. Whenever shit goes down, and I show up in my tutu with my M4, my AR, my bazooka, whatever it is, you know, AT4, you're not going to give a damn if I'm in my tutu or not.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're going to be like, well, if you're good to go, I'm good to go. And I'm like, I've been waiting for this, you know? But at the end of the day, PTSD doesn't end, right? But how you approach the battle with it is a completely different mindset, right? And we are motivating people out here. We're inspiring people out here. And I don't want to make that sound like I'm trying to be some type of way, because that's not it. Just the mere fact that I can share my story, how I'm making it through it, how I'm dealing with it, and how I'm prospering and living life, that gives other people motivation and hope. And that's what people that have PTSD lack. They lack hope, right? They lack that motivation, right? You know, that happy time, because the happier you are, the more endorphins get released. Therefore, you're cheery, man. You're happier. But, you know, it happens, man. It happens.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I actually, I want to move this towards something that you mentioned, your videos and stuff. But before I do, I do want to say, because we're going to go to a little bit of a lighter note after we talk about your viral video and everything. I want to say thank you for sharing everything you've shared so far, man, and being open and honest about who you are, the things you've been through, the things you've gone through, and your process and your thoughts on the process and everything else. I think it truly does say something about you, and it does say something about the progress you've made within yourself. And I cannot be more thankful for you sharing that with us and with What Makes Us Fire. But in saying all that, I want to move forward with social media, with the, you know, you were on, I met you on TikTok. Well, first I want to ask, why the hell did you get on TikTok? You're almost 40 something years old, and you got on fucking TikTok. Yeah, man. I kind of want to know, why the hell did you even think about jumping onto this social media platform?
So me supporting who I support, I used to have a Facebook page. Unfortunately, there's somebody that I used to go to elementary school with that wanted so hard to get me off of Facebook and get those that I love and care about fired from certain jobs. So once that started happening, I shut down my Facebook, and I wasn't really on social media at all. And then next thing you know, my son, my 12-year-old at the time, made a video that went viral, man. Like, he made a video that went super viral. And I was like, that's dope. But then he started like getting picked on, you know? And I was like, oh, hell no. So you don't mess with a lion's cub. You feel me? Mm-hmm. And after that happened, I got on TikTok, and then he was like, Dad, you should make a couple videos. Like, your personality is always fabulous. You know, like, people love you, Dad. And this and that. And I started making a few videos, and then boom, like, I went viral, and I went viral again. And I've gone viral a couple times. And I was like, well, maybe I'll keep doing this for a little bit. And it's weird how God works, right? Because he knew I was going to end up having like back surgery this year, but he prepared me last year for it. Like, he put me on this path and this avenue to start giving other people, like, I don't know if it's whole, I don't know, but just my story, just my accessibility, you know what I mean? And with that being said, man, the messages I get about just people that are so happy saying, I love the way you talk, man. You just throw it out there. I wish I could do that. I'm over here like, you can just say it. But, you know, it's the confidence thing. And then, of course, the videos and stuff. And man, if you, even if you struggle with just words, to put words together, to put it on a video or what have you, just do it confidently. You know what I mean? Just do it confident. You will be surprised how many people will say, this motherfucker didn't say jack shit, but damn, he's pretty confident, you know?
Right, exactly.
Like, follow, you know what I mean? It's a trip, man. It's a trip. But that's why I got on social media.
For your son. You got on to kind of back up your son, and then all of a sudden you're starting to make this progress. I want to point out one video specifically that I think is probably your most viral video that you have out there. And really it was a reply. It was a video reply to a message that you received on one of your videos. And that message was something to the effect of, you probably should just go kill yourself, or something to that effect.
Yeah. The only thing that'll stop your PTSD is a 9 to your head, and I'm the voice in your head. Do it. Just do it. There's something to that effect.
Something to that effect. And it was one of those videos where, like you said, you didn't say anything. You just had it up there, and you saw it hit hard with a lot. I mean, you're over 5 point something million views on that video, and it put your name out there, but it put your name out there because I think you showed what those kind of comments can do to somebody that's in that state of mind, right?
Yeah.
We talked on the phone prior to this, and you kind of explained why you did that video. I want to give you a chance to kind of explain why you did that video here as well. That way people kind of understand, right? You weren't necessarily so upset for you.
Right.
Why did you feel like you had to respond the way you did with the video that you made?
So what a lot of people don't know is that I get threats like that. I get comments like that. I literally get like 4 different types of threats a month, literally like once a week, all because of who I support, all because of how I think and the way I just blurt it out. People just don't, you know, and it's one of those things, but in that video that I made, this guy had made a comment in regards to PTSD. I was just putting down a PTSD video, you know, just bringing limelight to something that I had experienced and identifying triggers. And this ponta, you know, turns around and says what he says. And I'm like, when I read it, I immediately wanted to delete it and all of that, you know? And I had shown that comment to someone very special to me, and they were like, what are you thinking? You know, how you feeling? Are you okay? You know, you good? Because that was going to be one of my attempts, you know? And at that point, I was like, you know what? So I came in my office. I'm in the same office I made that video in. It's not in here, or maybe it is, but I attempted that video twice, and the first time I attempted it, I had actually said, you know, like, I've never wished hell upon anybody, but you're the first person, you know, like, nobody should be saying things like that. I stepped back and I was like, you know what? I'm not even gonna say anything, because that comment didn't affect me in the way he thought it would affect me. That comment affected me because I was thinking about my battles and my brothers and everybody who has battled with PTSD in some way, shape, manner, or form. That a comment like that, just seeing that or hearing that or being told that by someone, could be the defining moment in their life, you know? Because there's some people out here. I just lost one of my brothers I served with, man, Turner. He's a great guy, man. November 11th is going to be his 1-year remembrance. And when I got that phone call, I felt so bad because I was trying to get him to come to my hometown so that he could work for me. And it just got overwhelming for him. And he lost, you know, he took his life. And then I remember a conversation that we had prior to him doing that. And it was that, you know, people were telling him, like, you know, just end it, man. Like, the fuck? And who says that anyway? But he had people in his life telling him that. And it was nuts, man. That's why I wanted him to come to my hometown so that he could work with me in construction, because construction's like therapeutic for me. It'll be therapeutic for him. And we get to talk about it, and we're battles. So, you know, we have something in common. But when I made that video, man, I was crying about it, because there's some brothers and sisters out here, and most of them didn't even serve, that a comment like that would be the end of their life. That's all they needed. We have so many brothers and sisters already that are on the edge, and a comment like that would just push them right on over. And just the mere fact that this kid was so fucking disrespectful, and I don't even know if it's a kid. I don't even give a shit, you know? But just the mere fact that somebody could even make a comment like that in this day and age still baffles me, because he wouldn't say that shit to my face. I promise. You know, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Like the minute he started saying a 9, boom, he's like, and then he's waking up, and I'm like, are you okay? You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you know, like that's why I was weeping and crying, man, because there are some people out here that just need a fucking chance. That's it. They just need a chance. And whenever shit like that happens, man, and like their chance is taken from them because of some fucking idiot, you know, just blurt something out of his fucking ass. Because it's not out of his mouth, it's out of his ass. When you got some idiot say shit like that, and a good person is lost, that's somebody's dad. That's somebody's son. You know what I'm saying? That's somebody's love, man. Just pushed over the edge and just given up on their fucking life.
I don't think
shame.
It's a fucking damn shame. But
but
Lou, man.
But what can you do? So that's why I made that video.
This is what you can do, and it's what you did, Lou. I get it. Because when I saw that video, I was with you. I saw that video and it brought me to tears. And because had I seen something like that on any of my videos during my struggle, that might have been it for me. That would have been my validation, right? There's my validation. See, I'm thinking like this, and this person thinks like that, so I might as well. But you did something with it.
And it's crazy, Josh. It's crazy, man. Because I always look at the positive side of things and all of that, man. The way the community came together, I can't even begin to tell you, Josh. I posted that thing like at 10 o'clock at night. From 10 o'clock at night to literally the next 10 o'clock at night, 24 hours later, I had 800 phone calls. I don't even want to talk about the text messages I got because there was over like 2,000 text messages. That's just through my phone. But I'm still getting messages like in my DMs about that video today, from people across the world. You know, and it's weird because even though that video is like 5.2, whatever it is on my account, bro, there's people like the Great Londini and the Big Old Texan and all these other people that have like millions of followers that don't even think politically align with me. Some of their videos are like 9 point something million views, 10, 11 million views. You know, like that video in itself has literally been seen over 100 million times. You know, and I'm just like baffled, and I'm just amazed because in my talkings or when I speak sometimes about PTSD, I always make it clear you do not have to serve in the military or be a police officer to suffer or battle with PTSD. You don't have to be in the military. Anybody, I know a lady, man, and I share this story frequently because I know a lady that was 13. 12 years old. She was walking with her mom down a sidewalk. A car jumps a curve, hits another kid, and the kid is bleeding out. Till this day, that lady will not go for a walk on a sidewalk. She takes her ass to a track, walks on a treadmill, or goes to a gym. That lady, when she was 13 years old, 14, whatever it was, when she experienced that, she's in her 60s now. And she still goes to the gym. She won't walk on the sidewalk at all whatsoever. Check her mail? Nope. She don't do it. And she's that old. Like, you know what I'm saying? So PTSD, you don't have to serve in order to have it, you know, and that's why it affected so many people in the whole PTSD community. You know what I mean? But I'm just grateful for everybody.
And like I was saying, you did something with it. This guy had an intention to get at you. Or what seems like he had the intention to get at you. But you turned that negative fucking thing into something so fucking positive, bro. You flipped it on its head. And you gathered a community of people. That video probably helped 1,000,000 times more people than what that one comment was trying to do to you. And because of that, and because your willingness and strength to put it out there like the way you did, you turned something that could have been detrimental into something that is actually being used to build people up, to build yourself up. You use that comment to give people hope. And that comment was meant to destroy hope. And yet you turned it into something to give people hope. Like, I know you understand the impact you had, but I don't think you get the full grasp. Mm-hmm. When I saw that video, I immediately knew I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to hear your story. I wanted to know what your mindset was like. I wanted to gain a friend just by watching that video. I wanted to learn from you. I wanted to bro. I wanted to be like, bro, let's go have a beer. Let's talk. I don't know what it was, but it was this automatic, like, I can not only
you love me. I get it.
That's what it was. Fuck it. Yeah, we'll just say it. Like that video. I am a little bit. Like seriously though, that video, man. Like I saw it and I was just like, yeah, I did. You actually, you know what? Yeah, I saw that video and there was some form of love that came from that video towards you for it. And it was some form of respect.
Because you could relate.
Because I could relate.
Because you could relate.
Right, exactly. And if it made me
but look at what you're doing
way,
right now. But you know what I mean? Like, look at what you're doing right now. You know? Like, you got a podcast. You're doing great things. You know what I mean? Even though people may not know that, like, even though they may not know you're going through shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, man, we all go through shit, but it depends on how you want to handle it and deal with it. You know, like it is a choice. It is an option and a mindset, man. Like we have that ability. We just need to, it just needs to keep being brought out. You know, that we have that ability to go through depression happy. Because eventually you're not going to be depressed anymore. You're just going to be straight happy. You know what I mean? Like the icing on the cake kind of thing. And mindset is 99.9% of attitude. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And attitude is 100% of life.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
That's why I'm always laughing and smiling, man. You know?
Well, I think you're doing an amazing thing, man. And what you have going on and the effect you're having on people's lives, I think, is nothing to shy away from or to not be proud of, because I think you're doing huge help to not only the veteran community, but I think to just people in general, to the human race. You're showing love, peace, and understanding. But I do want to kind of take it into the more theatrical and funny stuff that you're doing. With Let's Go Brandon and FJB, and you created a line with all this. Now we don't really get too political here on the show, but
no, I get it.
But Lou, I'm gonna make an exception with you because I'm not. Here's the thing. When you're in the military, the commander-in-chief is the commander-in-chief. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You follow the orders. You're not in the military anymore. So you have your opinion, and everybody is allowed to have their opinion, and they're rightfully so. Right or wrong or indifferent, doesn't fucking matter. But you have made one hell of a footprint with your opinion. You have made one hell of a footprint with your opinion, and I think it's actually starting to pick up a lot on both sides, right? Mm-hmm. Like you said before, you're not afraid to kind of say what needs to be said. I mean, shit, you're Latino. We talked about the Latino community. You even kind of, I wouldn't say bagged, but you kind of brought forth what you consider to be wrong upbringing in the Latino community, like how we think about things and stuff like that. And I agree with you. You know, some might disagree with you. That's fine. That's great about this country. We can disagree with each other, but we don't have to hate each other for disagreeing, right? Mm-hmm. Why go this route, brother? Why go this route?
Because I was lied and manipulated to for far too long. I realized that I was not having any self-respect for myself the more I let people lie and manipulate me. When I let people do certain things to me, I am teaching other people how to treat me. I am teaching other people where I stand in their totem pole. Bitch, if I ain't at the top, then we ain't collabing, because it's a mutual respect thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You gonna respect me, I'm gonna respect you. But if you treat me like shit, I'm gonna treat you like shit. That's just the way I was brought up. So I never meant to get political. I never meant, like, that's not what my platform was about. But going back to my Facebook days and why I had to shut my Facebook down was because I kept getting death threats. Man, I just opened up my Facebook again, and I've already received 2 death threats in 3 weeks. Like, not too many people in my area know about it, right? So at this point, the way I see it is like, look, there's a lot of people that try to silence the truth. I'm just speaking my life experiences. That's it. I'm not trying to sway nobody one way or the other. You know what I'm saying? Like, I say FJB, I say let's go Brandon, because I served under him when he was vice president. Like, I know what he okayed as far as policies wise, and everything pretty much that was told about President Trump, in all honesty, has come back tenfold to bite those that were saying these bad things about him in the ass. So you had people call him racist, right? Now you have this president saying, if you don't, you ain't black if you don't vote for me. Like the double standards and the hypocrisy is what gets me about the entire process of this whole ordeal.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no problem calling it out. I have no problem calling it out on the left. I have no problem calling it out. I call Governor Abbott out from Texas, and he's a Republican. I call his ass out all day long, because this is the thing with me. My standards stay the same. If President Trump did something wrong, then lock his ass up. Lock his ass up. Because if I do something wrong, I get locked up. But why is it one party gets away with all kinds of shit? Right. Like, we're having investigations about January 6th. Well, where in the hell are the investigations for the previous summer? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, right. At the end of the day, if you really want to work together, which is what I want to do, and I get told, you're wearing that hat and it's divisive. You're wearing that sweater and it's divisive. Like, you don't want to hear. I can wear this shit and still root for the dumbass. I still want him to do great. I want him to run our country and be great. I do. But if you're not going to be honest with me and tell me that he's doing a good job or that he's not doing a good job, then come on, man, because you're not going to silence me. And I've been silenced multiple times on TikTok, mm-hmm. and on Facebook. And I'm over here like this. If silencing Latinos is a bad thing, and you guys say that it's racist, then why don't y'all stand up for me? You know what I'm saying? But it's only because I think a certain type of way. Now, once you start thinking that way, man, I start losing respect for you, because you need to keep that same energy across the board.
You need to check your hypocrisy.
Yeah, and it's all good, man, because I get it. Even I'm hypocritical. I'm out here telling people they need to get their shit together, and I don't have a relationship with my 2 oldest kids, who I love greatly. But that's out of my control, right? But right. Yeah, I'm still telling people to get there. And I admit when I'm wrong, I have no problem. You want to know why? Because I swallowed my pride a long time ago. But the mere fact that I'm getting death threats, I got that one death threat because I was wearing 45 gold. That's one thing that some people don't understand. That 45 gold is my trademark. You know what I mean? And when I was wearing that was the only reason this guy came in and said what he said, is because he was a Trump hater. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you know what? All right, whatever. But the mere fact that I'm getting death threats, that I get told I need to think a certain type of way, I'm like this, bro. You know what? I'm like this. I'm like, can somebody show me where in the Latino handbook it says that I need to think and support a certain president, a certain party? Can somebody show me that? And nobody can show me that, because us as Latinos, we're strong-minded people.
Yes, sir.
Bro, tell a Latina she's crazy.
No, fuck you. No, sir.
See what I'm saying?
No.
I challenge anybody to tell a Latina she is crazy. That'll be the last time you.
There was a running joke. Just send all the Latinos over there to Iraq and tell them what the Taliban does to women. That would be done.
I'm telling you, right?
Yeah.
So once I started doing all this stuff, bro, I got so much hate. And I said, you know what, guys, I served my country for everybody to be heard. I don't care who you support. I've already said that repeatedly. I don't care about all that, man. What some people don't know is that I actually drove 6 people to the voting poll last election. I drove 6 people to the voting poll knowing that they were going to vote for Joe Biden. I didn't care that they were voting for Joe Biden. It's the mere fact that that's their constitutional right and their civil liberties, and I don't want that to be taken away. You know what I'm saying? Just because they don't have a ride to get there. If I could have said, nah, go find another ride, but I don't, because I want our country to be what it is. You know what I'm saying? I want us to be great with everybody's input, but whenever I get told that I need to shut up, I need to be silenced, I'm a sellout. Who am I a sellout to? I'm a sellout to who exactly? Because I wasn't born in Mexico. My family wasn't born in Mexico. We were born here. We came from Spain. What are you getting at? And then whenever I get told I'm a sellout, I'm like, because I don't support the policies that traffic little kids. I don't support policies for open borders that allow drugs to hit our community. Come on, man, agarra la onda. You know what I'm saying? What the hell? We got Latinos losing their jobs right now because they don't want to get a vaccine. Where's Viva la Raza at? Why aren't they in the streets marching right now? You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
I'm over here come on, man, get the fuck on out of here. Bye, Felicia.
I get it. It's the same fucking thing when the whole women's rights movement, they were gonna march in New York, and some conservative women actually signed up to be a part of that march because it was a woman's march, right? Well, they were turned away because they didn't hold the same, because they were conservatives, but it didn't say, it wasn't liberal women's march, it was just women's march, so all women can be heard, so all women can have, but it was, they didn't have the same mindset, right? So therefore, it doesn't matter that you're a woman, you still can't join, but it's a women's march, doesn't matter, you still can't join. Well, it's the same thing with it's the profiling people give, that if you go against and they say profiling's wrong, yet the hypocrisy is showing you're wanting me to stick with the profile, but you think profiling is wrong. Which one is it?
Bro, I get so confused with I get so confused with this one party, because everything that they stand for, literally, I just sit back and watch, and I see the head come back around and insert itself a certain way. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Because this is what happens. This is what happens when you see a certain group of people fighting for women's rights. But this group of women aren't fighting for women that are being forced to take the vaccine, like My Body, My Choice. You're like, wait a minute. You're being selective. It's the double standards for me, right?
Selective hypocrisy, man.
Yeah. And then so now, just mark my words, because this is going to happen. Now there's flights leaving from Texas going to New York, transporting these kids and other people, right? New Yorkers, they don't have a problem with open borders because they live in New York. Nobody's crossing over the Canadian border. They're all coming through the southern border.
Right.
But this is what's going to happen. Now that the resources at the local hospitals are going to be taken up, they're going to have longer lines at the hospitals, longer lines at restaurants, longer lines at, guess what's going to happen, at welfare centers. Then it starts affecting New Yorkers completely different, because these motherfuckers file for something in January and they ain't gonna get it until June or July, when they would have got it in February. But the reason they ain't getting it till June or July is because now there's such a high caseload of people there. You know what I mean? Now it affects them personally. And New Yorkers are gonna be like, hey, y'all done overstayed y'all's welcome. It's time for y'all to leave. But just wait, because the head is coming around, bro. It's coming around. It's going to insert itself. You feel me? They're going to start literally and just sit back and watch it unfold, because everything that they accuse Trump of doing is exactly what they're guilty of. Look at the way Brandon was talking to Trump, saying Trump didn't pay his taxes. And it just recently come out that the pendejo didn't pay his taxes. Owes $500,000. And then he's over here saying, oh, Trump's not being safe. He's not wearing his mask. And then it just came out on the news that that Brandon went to a restaurant without his mask on. Like, come on, man, you can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up.
It's
and then I get told, I get told all the time, Trump don't like you. It's not his job to like me, Ponta. It's not his job. His job was to be a president of the United States, not to be, you got to like Lou. You know? No, I don't care if he likes me or not. I don't care if you like me. Fuck on out of here, Brandon. But at the end of the day, I get told también, he's going to deport you. You think I care? Let him.
Where's he going to deport you to?
To Texas? One, if he deports me back to Texas, I'm cool with it. But if he deports me to Mexico, it's okay. Joe's letting me back in. No problem. You know what I'm saying? He's letting everybody in. Even terrorists.
Oh, man. Oh, my God.
I can do this all day, by the way.
Oh, no, I know you can. I know you can. And that's why I'm going to start cutting you off. I'm going to start winding it down, brother. So you created an apparel line through all this. You have hats, sweaters, t-shirts, stuff like that. I fucking love I love the hat. I love the sweatshirt. I love that fucking sweatshirt. It's fucking cool. Badass. Where can What Makes Us Fire and the family and everybody listening, where can they go to check your stuff out?
Well, it's my username, man. I'm on YouTube. I don't put a lot of things out on YouTube or Instagram. TikTok's my main platform, but I just realized that if you link something up from TikTok, you can share it to Instagram, and then Instagram can kick it out to all these other places. I didn't know that, so I'm going to start doing that. I just recently started with Facebook to do a test run, but my username, JamminLu21.com. That's my username, and that's my website, man. My website is there. So I try to line everything up, man, with JamminLu21. Because everybody that knows me, man, they know me as that. And originally, I just started making like 45 goat shirts, you know, because that was my trademark. And 45 is always going to be the goat in my mind. He brought so much light to a subject that Latinos weren't aware of. And not only that, like, I voiced my opinion about it, right? And I'm waking up other Latinos out here. They're like, oh, shit, I didn't even think of it that way. You know, the same way I did with PTSD, I'm applying the same tactics to politics, you know, because it's my personal life experience. The same people that said they were going to fix immigration when I was a kid are the same people in charge, and look at the immigration. Like, Come on, man. Come on, Felicia. Don't be a tonta, you know? So with that being said, you know, it's like, I just started doing that, and then I come up with my own ideas. Check this out, man, just for shits and giggles. One of my moderators in my live community who was going through a bad spill came in my live one night, and this is, you know, I was just talking about politics, having a good time, jamming out in my tutu, you know, doing my thing, and he made me this.
For everybody not on the YouTube channel, they made him a bobblehead with his big ass smile and his shades and 25 goat on the hat. That's badass.
Bro, ain't it, man?
Yeah, he got the cool. Beard. He got the beard right and everything.
Even my glasses, bro, because those are the glasses I used to wear. But
nice.
He was like, Lou, I just want you to know, man, like, I was going through a sad time in my life, and I came across your live. You made me laugh, and he hasn't left ever since, bro. You know, and he made that for me, and he made himself one, and it's a trip. He's even got his own voice. You know what I mean? Like he's here. Hey, bitches. But anyway, it's funny as hell, man. And I break them out in videos every once in a while, but you know, it's the mere fact of impacting people and doing my shirts, man. Like I said, I worked in construction, and God just put me on this path because He knew I was going to have back surgery, and with my merchandise, anything off my .com account, my JamminLu21.com, I don't keep anything. All proceeds go to help veteran brothers and sisters. Like, I just bought 3 police officers their meals yesterday while I was out running for errands and stuff. But I'll go to like Fort Hood, I'll go to Fort Bliss. I feel like Oprah, man. I'm like, you get a meal, you get a meal. You know, I do all of that. There's times where I can't go to an army base or what have you, and I just go to my local HEB or my local Walmart, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of profile a little bit. I see a family who may be needing who's got some like rundown shoes or something, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, hey man, I see their basket, bam, swipe my card while they're getting ready to pay. I beat them to the punch, and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, hey man, I'm just paying it forward. And they're like, oh my God, like, I want to give you a hug. And I'm like, no, 6 feet. You know what I'm saying? but, but no, I'm just bullshitting. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those ordeals. It's a lot of fun. And that's the thing about my website, and all proceeds go to that, man. I don't keep a cent. Everything that's been in here that I've bought that I need, my heat press, my printers, my cutters, all that was paid out of my money. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, there's some people out here, bro, that I know. One guy bought a boat. He was like, I'm raising money so I can buy a boat so I can take veterans out. But what happens if he gets sick? What happens if he wants to walk away? He keeps a boat. Everybody was, under the anticipation that he was going to,
Right.
he should sell that boat back. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I got you.
Like, you should sell that boat back. But I don't keep not 1 cent, man. And that's just the way I roll.
All right.
I keep getting phone calls here, bro.
No, you're good. You're good. So it's JamminLu, JamminLu21.com. Go check out his stuff. Man, I really want that. Let's Go Brandon. I might just run and go buy that right now.
Let me know what's good. Let me know what's good.
I like that, man. I like that hoodie. Yeah, man, that's it. Usually the way I like to wind down the show is I ask like about 3 questions, man. It can spark another 15, 20-minute conversation, or it could be like 1-word answers. No right or wrong answers, brother. It's really simple.
All right.
The first question is fairly simple. Let's say you've done podcasts before, but say we're on the JamminLu 21 podcast, and your guest is JamminLu 21, is yourself. Mm-hmm. What's the one question you would have asked yourself, or piece of information you would like to be shared that maybe we didn't touch on too much, or we touched on just maybe not long enough?
The one question I would ask JamminLu 21 if he was on my podcast is, why don't you talk about your personal life?
Would you?
And I would be like, because. And I would leave it at that. Saying less sometimes is best. And I just, there's a reason why I don't, because like I said, man, I had this lady, at one point in time, drive from Tennessee, took pictures of me and my kids while I was playing basketball with my kids. She was parked down the street simply because she didn't like the way I thought, and sent me these pictures from a Google number. All right. And, made fake email, registered an IP address at a library. A library's cameras weren't working that day. Like, at the end of the day, I'm not going to be mentioning about my personal life, if I'm in a relationship, if I'm not, if I'm straight or if I'm gay. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't do that. Like, I leave people with an open mindset because, you know what? I don't want to be judged about nothing. You know what I mean? But there's a reason why. And if somebody's willing to turn around and drive from Tennessee to take pictures, park down my street, take pictures of me and my kids, there's just some information that people just need to know about. You know what I'm saying?
I got you. And I respect that too. It's a pretty straightforward answer. My second question to you is very simple. Do you have any questions for me that you would like me to answer? I'm an open book, just like you, man. I'm going to give it to you straight. The only thing I can't do is give you what I think the opinion is of somebody else. So, like, what do you think your wife thinks or your ex thinks? I don't know. I can't answer that question because I'm not her. So that's the only thing I kind of steer away from. But right. I'm good with anything, man.
So my question, if you were on my podcast and I would ask you a question, that I would want to know about you is, at the end of the day, what's your overall goal in doing what you want to do? Well, and I know monetary value isn't there. You know what I mean? I know getting your word out is important to you, but is it to make other people happy? Is it to make other people awake? Is it to educate people? Like, what do you think that is?
I think what I'm doing, my overall goal, to put it simply, is to keep my brothers and sisters alive. It's as simple as that. To keep them alive. To let them know that the spot they're in, there's a way out. For me, the goal is to keep them alive. And, you know, in my job, I do certain things that help keep people alive when they have traumatic injuries and stuff like that. But in my job, there's not a whole lot.
So what
that we
happens
can
when
do.
what happens when you fail? Because this is real talk.
Yeah. I got to be honest with you, man. I take it personally.
Yeah, I do too, bro.
I take it real personally, even though I know I'm not the one that made the decision.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I might have never talked to this person. You know, I hear stories of a civil service member or firefighter or military personnel, somebody, I hear a story that, you know, they reached out for help wasn't good enough, and they ended up taking their lives. And all I can think of is I got to work harder to get this nonprofit going. I got to make this thing available faster, because what if
So what is it you need in order for that to happen?
Right now it's finances, bro. It's all finances. We did some rough math, and, you know, worst case scenario, somebody comes to us, they need help. Say it's a veteran, they don't want to go to the VA, they don't have insurance, whatever the case may be. Worst case scenario, it's going to cost anywhere between $10,000 to $25,000 to send somebody to treatment, supplement their income, take care of their family, and make sure they have something when they get out of that treatment facility. You know, and we're a brand new nonprofit. We got our 501c3 just last month, and we were a 503 in the state of Texas. We got our 501c3, but, you know, I get it a lot. I get told this a lot because I'm going through some stuff personally, right? I'm going through a divorce. I'm having this interview with you right now in my RV. I'm living in my RV. You know, I'm going through some tough times financially and everything else, but I can't stop working on the nonprofit because people will be like, well, why don't you just take a 1 week break from the nonprofit? Don't work on it for like 1 week. You know, go get your mind right. Go try to figure shit out, this and that. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. Yeah. And they're like, well, why? And I was like, well, say I'm gone for that 1 week. Say I do go and take that 1 week break. That's 1 week more that I'm going to have to work. That puts behind the goal 1 week. And in that 1 week, we could have saved somebody. In that 1 week, somebody could have used what we have to offer to help themselves, to keep themselves alive, to continue being there for their family. Like, in that 1 week, we could have been that for somebody. That's why I cannot and will not take that time off. I can't do it. I won't allow myself to. Even just last night I was on live. I was like, fuck, if I have to, I'll live on the street. I'll sit by a fucking Starbucks. I'll record podcasts using Starbucks Wi-Fi if I need to. You know, like, I'll figure it out. If I got to live on the street and continue to make this grow, I'll figure it out. I'll do what I have to do. But my personal life is not going to affect what I'm trying to do for my brothers and my sisters. I've made
and that
too
1
many
week,
sacrifices.
Like how you said that 1 week, right? Like that 1 week off, man, can slow down progress in a manner that can be 4 or 5 months down the road. You know what I mean? And that's something that some people don't understand. But that's why I always say, you know, if you're going through hell, don't pump the brakes. Like, don't get me wrong, you need a break. You know what I'm saying? You need a mental break here and there. And that's real easy. You know what I mean? That's real easy. Go watch a movie, something that isn't what you're doing right now. You know what I mean? A break is whenever your family time, you're doing something that's your break. You know what I'm saying? Because this never stops. In the end, it never stops, because even when you're with your family, you're still thinking about these things. But you still need a small little mental break. But when you're going through hell, you don't pump the brakes. You hit the gas pedal on that NOS button and you get the fuck out of there, man. You do what you need to do to speed up the process. And a whole week to take off is a long time, bro. Don't get me wrong. It is a long time, and you need some time off. You need mental breaks. But I know people, like, even when I'm road tripping, bro, I'm on the phone with some veteran or what have you. You know what I'm saying? Because I know what it's like to not have somebody there. Does that make sense?
That's exactly what. Yeah, like, yeah. We just had this event in San Antonio this past weekend. I was still on the phone, still making connections, still looking for donors, still planning the next fundraising event. We were still in the whole board was there, so we were able to brainstorm Like it was nonstop work. I was a little bit out of it. I didn't allow myself to really be in the event because I was continuously working. I was there. I was still having a little bit of fun, mingling, talking to everybody, but I was also like, anytime somebody, hey, so what makes us fire? Here I am. I'm ready to go, and it's something that I can't stop. I've made too many sacrifices. I have made too many fucking sacrifices for me to put a break on anything. I got to keep pushing forward. And that's why
and sometimes,
I reached out to you
less
for the podcast.
And I appreciate that, but we got to also remember sometimes doing less is best. Sometimes when we're in quicksand, we want to try so hard to get out. Let's just get to the bottom so we can crawl our way out. You know what I mean? Like sometimes that's what we got to do. And I get everything you're saying, brother. I get everything. Don't feel bad or don't feel no type of way. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're just starting. You know what I'm saying? Like Wounded Warrior ain't got to do shit like that. Wounded Warrior's got donors. You know what I mean?
That's the thing.
Like Tunnel of the Towers got donors.
I want to build this
Tunnel
up
of
to
the Towers
that
and Wounded Warrior didn't get there. You know what I'm saying? They didn't get to step 10 on the ladder by just going from step 1 to 10. No, they had to climb every step, and that's what you're doing, man. And you know what? I'm probably like on step 2 or 3 of what it is that I want to be my overall goal, but I don't want to be big like Wounded Warrior because it's just me. I'm just one guy. I don't have the overhead, and I don't want it. You know what I mean? Like I don't want it. I'm selective of who I help. I'm not gonna lie. I am because there's some people, bro. I've come across. There's some people where you help them, and they automatically already got a mindset made of you that they're not gonna be happy with what you're bringing to them.
Oh no,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, we get those sometimes as well. If you help them, it's either not enough help, it wasn't the right kind of help, or there's something wrong with it, or you didn't take the time for this, you didn't take the time for that. Well, I'm sorry, this is the way I can help you now. If it's not beneficial for you, I apologize. Let me try to help you out in some other way. Well, no, I need help this way, and it's like I can't do that right now, and I'm not gonna put myself out to do that for you right now because there's a bigger goal here. And as much as I want to help you the way you want to be helped, sometimes we just can't. And if we can't, I hope you understand. It's as simple as that. Yeah, it really is.
You're one guy.
Exactly.
But I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you because it speaks volumes. So you're doing good. Keep it up.
My last question to you, Lou, is obviously you're on What Makes Us Fire, and a lot of people listen to the show. And I think the term's getting out there now. It's not necessarily what makes us firefighters, even though the logo is a Maltese cross. It's because I'm a firefighter. I love the damn logo. So it's going to stay, it is what it is. But really, it's like what makes us who we are, right? And when I say who we are, I mean like civil service members or part of the civil service community. What do you think it is that's inside of us that allows us to sacrifice of ourselves for others? And the reason why I asked this is because you brought it up earlier. There's this huge division outside of the military, outside of the first responder realm. There's this huge division in the Gen Pop, right? If you think one way, they don't want to talk to you, they hate you. If you think this way, they don't want to talk to you, they hate you. If you think this way, they want to fight you. If you think that way, they want to fight you. But once you're in that service, it don't fucking matter. You're all fighting for the same thing. So what do you think it is that led you allowed you to be able to do that?
That become a civil servant or become
to be a civil service member. Yeah, to be a civil service member.
The one thing that allowed me to do it, in all honesty, was putting my own selfish needs aside. You know what I mean? Like, I was so selfish for so long, man, when I was a kid, that I wanted to look at everybody, and it just seemed like everybody owed me, and in reality, nobody owed me anything. I owed everybody else. I owed my family for sticking with me and believing in me. I owed everything to God, and all I was doing was setting that aside and doing something far greater than myself, which ended up, being my service to my country. And it's the best non-mistake I've ever made in my entire life. It got me having my shit together. It almost killed me. It pushed me to the brink of suicide, 3 times. And I'm just forever grateful for the entire journey from start to finish, man. I am just forever grateful for it. I didn't know this, and I never thought of it this way, but God was chiseling me. You know what I'm saying? He was chiseling me at every turn. And I was like, damn, I got this scar. I got that scar. I got this other scar. And God was like, it's all good though. Look at what you're doing. You know what I mean? And it was at that moment, that I've literally turned a new leaf, and there's nothing that I will ever allow to get me down. This is why I always smile in my videos. I say the tontas and the pendejas, and I say all these things, man, because even though I'm talking to some people, I want them to know that there's still a level of human, of just normalcy. You know what I mean? Because like, you don't hear people saying tonta and pendeja. You know what I mean? You don't hear that no more.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if you go to one of our houses, and they're saying,
you're gonna hear it. Yeah, you're gonna hear it. Well, I'm curious.
That's why I do it.
I'm curious as to what brought you to give up that selfish mindset.
God, man. God brought me to it, bro. He did. He got me to it. Look, for example, what I'm doing now, right? Prior to me doing what I'm doing now, I used to be selfish and just want everything given to me. Everybody owed me everything. Now I donate so much of my time, a lot of my own money, like whenever I hunt down like material I need for merchandise, man, I don't reimburse myself for fuel that I just used, and I do this like sometimes twice a week. I got to go hunt something down because it'll take me like weeks to get it shipped to me. And I'm just like, screw that. So I'll drive like an hour sometimes, from here to Abilene, which is 2 hours, just to go to a store to pick up what I need and then bring it back. Like I donate so much of my time, but even in donating, just the mere fact of driving there, just driving there is relaxing and peaceful. I get to see the open road. I get to see a beautiful sunrise or a sunset. Like I switch my mindset, and with God bringing me to it and getting rid of all that selfishness, he's also saying, look, you're doing so much. You're giving so much time and so much effort and all this, that you're also enjoying the beauty of life, cause I don't go to these places by myself. I'm having conversations with some folks as I'm driving. You know what I mean? Like
right.
I literally try to capitalize on all aspects while I do things, because time, man, time is one thing we can't get back. Money, we lose. Money, it comes and goes. People come and go, but time, you can't get back.
I love that you pointed out the fact that you changed your perception. It was the perception change. It was because I'm of the same mindset, right? Like, it goes back to the why don't you take a break? Well, I'm happy doing what I'm doing. Like it gives me a sense of purpose. I'm meeting new people, amazing people. People are telling me I'm helping them. They're helping me. All of this because I'm trying to work towards something bigger for other people. And
right.
You're right. God does put those people and put all those things that not necessarily are the focus of what I'm trying to do, but he's putting them there, letting me know this is the outcome of the effort you're putting in. Enjoy it. This part is for you. Mm-hmm. This part's for you. Like for you, enjoying the open road, having that peace and serenity. He's telling you this part right here of what you're doing for others, this part's for you. This part's for you to enjoy because you're doing something else for so many others. And when we can open our eyes and change our perception to those little small things that he gives us and then really appreciate those things, I think we become unstoppable in our mission. We become completely unstoppable in our mission. And, with saying all that, I'm going to go ahead and close it out, Lou. In saying all that, man. I consider myself completely blessed. God has put you in my path, brother. And I am completely blessed that he gave you the good sense to come on the show. But yeah, man. Yeah, I'm gonna wind it down. Thank you again for coming on What Makes Us Fire, brother. I really do appreciate your story and everything you shared. We'll keep in touch. What Makes Us Fire?
I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, man. What Makes Us Fire? This was JamminLu 21. You can find him on TikTok, JamminLu 21. All his social media, JamminLu21.com for his merchandise. Go check him out. Funny dude, loud, awesome, hilarious, and as you heard, he's going to tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is, right or wrong. He just appreciates you for being a human being, and I can't thank him enough for being that kind of person. Have fun, stay safe, show some love and peace out in the world. You never know who's going to need it. You never know if you're going to be the one to make the difference, and being that difference feels pretty fucking good. Be the change you want to see in the world. Don't let the world dictate how you want to see that change. Just be better. Just be better. Peace. That's it. That was Luke. I told you. He's going to say what he got to say. You don't care whether you agree with him or not. He said what he said. I want to thank him again for coming on the show. I want to thank him for being open and honest and sharing his emotions with us, sharing his vision, and sharing his thoughts on what we can do and how we should start thinking about mental health. You know, we all have different ways of thinking about how to fix ourselves when it comes to depression, anxiety, PTSD. And his is not right or wrong. It's just right for him. And he's finding that his viewpoint and his way of going about it works for others. It might not work for you, but then again, it might. Either way, I think the point that me and him both try to make is that you just need to start. You need to start working on that conversation. You need to start working on you, for you, not for anyone else. If you find yourself in a crisis right now, and you need somebody to talk to, the National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 100% free, anonymous, and confidential. Please make the call. The number is 1-800-273-8255. Again, the number is 1-800-273-8255. If making that phone call is just not right for you right now, that's okay. You can visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org, where you will find a multitude of resources for you to check out, to learn from, to start your conversation. Remember to follow us on all your social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, with the tag @WhatMakesUsFire. We also have the YouTube version, if you're not listening on the YouTube version right now, with What Makes Us Fire, all one word, space podcast. Just start typing in What Makes Us Fire, all one word. You're going to see the logo. Click on it. It's there. If you want to find out a little bit more about our events that we have coming up, our nonprofit that we do, and you want to see some past guests from the podcast, you can visit WhatMakesUsFire.com. There you can actually donate as well. Every donation helps the nonprofit grow, helps the podcast grow. We are trying to get this to a point where I can actually start traveling to our guests instead of having to do these Zoom meetings. While they're all well and great, they're all well and good, the audio is just better when you're in person. And the only way to do that is to grow the nonprofit and the podcast, and that is through you, the What Makes Us Fire family. And I appreciate every one of you that has donated, that continues to donate, that's a reoccurring donor. And for anybody listening out there that knows anybody that wants to make a very large donation, we are a 501c3 nonprofit. Again, visit WhatMakesUsFire.com. We can greatly use the help, and we more than greatly appreciate it. You guys have fun, stay safe, show some love and peace. You never know who's going to need it. You never know if you're going to be the one to make the difference. And being that difference feels really good. Be the change you want to see in the world. Peace.